Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. American Comics. The Strongest GU Master Sign-In System. Chapter 21. Tony didn't feel that his words were exaggerated at all. Because, with his mind, he is too aware of the huge benefits in this matter. Moreover, once this super healing method is promoted to the whole world, it will be a huge amounts of good news for the whole world. At that time, trauma is no longer a fatal injury. As long as the rescue can be done in time, more than 70% of the patients can even be revived. On every level, Tony wanted to see this technology come to life. I don't mind this. After all, if the Scarlet Great Wall organization wants to continue to develop, it needs a lot of financial resources. Being able to control such a cash cow is also good for me. However, Jade Butterfly GU is not an ordinary butterfly. The phosphorus powder it releases is stimulated by my true energy, so it may not be able to replicate. Chen Qing spread his hands and said, "Infuriating, what is that?" Tony was a little confused, although he also knew some of the culture of that eastern country. However, Zhen Qi was obviously in his blind spot of knowledge. You can understand it as a kind of energy, but this energy is currently only available to me. Chen Qing touched the butterfly GU on his shoulder and said, "The feeling of the bitty GU is as hard as it looks, as if it is really made of jade. This kind of defensive power can also give the butterfly GU a certain self-protection ability, so that it will not be killed by the enemy in an instant like ordinary butterflies. Is it called true energy? It shouldn't be a big problem." The fire of scientific research was already burning in Tony's eyes. He couldn't wait to plunge into the laboratory and study this brand new substance. Chen Qing didn't refuse either, and directly controlled the butterfly GU to sprinkle a large amount of phosphorus powder into a glass container. As for how Tony wants to experiment, Chen Qing has no interest. He is now eager to integrate the 45 years and 3 months of Taoism that he signed in before. At the same time, with Tony's announcement of the closure of the Stark Group's weapons department, the stock of Stark Group also experienced huge amounts of fluctuations in an instant. The stock of Stark Group, which can be said to have been rising steadily all the way, directly showed a cliff-like decline. The terrible falling speed made everyone a little unexpected. However, in just an hour, the stock price of Stark Group dropped by 10 points directly. If this was exchanged for Longguo's stock, the price limit would have fallen by now. However, the U.S. stock market does not have a lower limit mechanism for Longguo stocks. The 10 points dropped at this moment are just the beginning. 2 hours later, Stark Group shares fell another 10 points. 3 hours later, the shares of Stark Group had dropped a total of 32 points. 5 hours later, the stock of Stark Group had dropped to 41 points in total. However, at this moment, the stock of Stark Group has gradually stabilized, and there is no further decline. After all, Tony Stark just shut down the weapons development department, not dead. The public's recognition of Tony Stark's genius brain is still very high. They firmly believe that as long as Tony Stark is alive, the Stark Group will not fall. However, this also led to the direct bankruptcy of a large number of shareholders who bought the Stark Group. In this turmoil, the only one who made a lot of money was Shen Yuexi, who was treated as a joke by everyone before. This wave directly made Shen Yuexi feel numb. Even if you still need to return the Stark Group shares borrowed from the brokerage, and return the $1 billion United States dollars in bank loans. Shen Yuexi's total income in this wave is at least $3 billion USD or more. This will not only bring Shen Yuexi's small company back to life. At the same time, Shen Yuexi's company can be directly promoted to a new supergiant in one fell swoop. After all, this is $3 billion United States dollars in cash. Even those top-ranked companies are unlikely to spend such a large sum of money. Hey, where did this woman get the news? I haven't heard that she has anything to do with Tony Stark. This time, she can be regarded as a step up to the sky. That's at least $3 billion USD in cash. HMPH, can you really spend the money you earn? Isn't she making so much money for someone else's wedding dress? However, I have to say that this woman's luck is really good. Tony Stark just happened to close the weapon research and development department, and she happened to be there. With this huge amounts of wealth, who wouldn't be tempted after looking at it? Such a huge cash flow, even for those companies with a market value of tens of billions of USD, can already be counted as huge amounts of figures. It can be said that at this moment Shen Yuexi is definitely the most enviable woman in the Dragon Kingdom and even in the world. Shen Yuexi, who was sitting in the office, felt unbelievable. At this moment, she has returned the Stark Group shares borrowed by the brokerage and the loan from the bank. After doing all this, there is still 3.26 billion United States dollars left in the bank card. In terms of dragon coins, it is almost 28 billion, close to 30 billion dragon coins. This is 3.26 billion United States dollars. Shen Yuexi felt that she was dreaming. Just before today, she was worrying about the company's future. However, in less than half a day, she no longer needed to worry about the company's problems. Such a huge capital injection is enough for her to expand the company several times or dozens of times. Definitely, she didn't forget the creator of all this, Chen Qing. Shen Yuexi's beautiful eyes are shining with brilliance. It seems that she still doesn't know a lot about her younger brother. Thinking of this, Shen Yuexi directly called Chen Qing. At this moment, Chen Qing is just preparing to practice, refining the Taoism of 45 years and 3 months. It has to be said that Shen Yuexi's call came at the right time. If it was a little later and Chen Qing entered the cultivation state, he would ignore the phone call or not. "How are things going?" Seeing that it was Shen Yuexi's call, Chen Qing asked after answering it. A net profit of 3.26 billion United States dollars. There was still excitement in Shen Yuexi's tone. No matter how strong Shen Yuexi is, she is still as excited as a girl at this moment. Definitely, Shen Yuexi's age is not too old. She is only 26 this year, only 2 years older than Chen Qing. After the excitement that was almost showing off, Shen Yuexi continued to ask, "Do you have any plans for this money?" Chen Qing smiled slightly and said in a deep voice, "For the 3.26 billion United States dollars, 1 billion United States dollars will be used to build the world's top technology research institute, and another 1 billion United States dollars will be used to help me collect those special ores and plants. As for the remaining 1.26 billion United States dollars, use it to develop the company." Chen Qing explained the distribution method that he had planned long ago. Shen Yuexi, who was still immersed in surprises, immediately started working after hearing Chen Qing's distribution method. After thinking about the implementation plan quickly, Shen Yuexi said seriously, "Chen Qing, it is easy to build a top-notch scientific and technological research institute, but the most difficult thing is to form a scientific research team. Ordinary scientific researchers may be easier to find. You only need to offer enough generous conditions to recruit them, but if you really want to develop high-tech, you must have a chief scientist with sufficient qualifications to lead the team. However, there are not many scientists with this kind of ability in Dragon Kingdom and even in the whole world. With our strength and background, I am afraid it will be difficult to recruit them." After hearing Shen Yuexi's words, a trace of surprise flashed in Chen Qing's eyes. He really didn't expect his sister-in-name to have such a strong ability to handle affairs. He can even give his own opinions on matters in the field of scientific research. You know, his companies are mainly in the field of daily necessities and cosmetics. He began to be a little curious about how far his nominal sister could go. Chen Qing then replied, "There is no need to worry about the chief scientist. There will be Ethan, a top physicist, as our chief scientist. His name is enough to attract us a group of outstanding scientific research backbones. Ethan represents more than just a top physicist. At the same time, Ethan also has an extremely large network of contacts. Ethan's students, colleagues, and even scientists who have a good relationship with Ethan are all objects that can be excavated." This is also why Chen Qing has been particularly concerned about recruiting Ethan before. Ethan, you mean Dr. Ethan? You can actually dig him up to work for us?" Shen Yuexi exclaimed directly, "Because I have been thinking about the company's future development path before." Shen Yuexi even thought about transforming into a technology industry that has gradually gained momentum over the years and can be regarded as a new field. Therefore, Shen Yuexi is no stranger to Ethan's name, although he knew that he might not be qualified to recruit Ethan. However, Ethan is definitely one of the best candidates for her plans for technology companies. It's just that Shen Yuexi didn't expect her baby brother to be so powerful. Not only did she earn nearly 30 billion dragon coins from the Stark Group, but it also brought her such a world-leading scientific research giant. It can be said that this has established the framework of the technology company she wants to build. For the rest, just let her swipe ink on it wantonly. Well, let's make arrangements as soon as possible. I hope these things can be resolved within a month. I have a project for Ethan to do. In addition, you must pay attention to helping me collect special ores and plants. This is very important to me. Chen Qing exhorted emphatically. The ores and plants needed to refine and upgrade GU worms can be seen from their names. As long as it exists on Earth, it shouldn't be particularly difficult to find it. Signing in alone obviously cannot satisfy Chen Qing's needs for GU worms. Therefore, he must collect all the resources he can collect as much as possible. Shen Yuexi did not deny Chen Qing's request. Even if Chen Qing wants to spend a full 1 billion United States dollars, that is close to 9 billion dragon coins, to buy these things. After all, the money was earned by Chen Qing, and Chen Qing has the greatest say in how to spend it. However, after Chen Qing raised this request again, the curiosity in Shen Yuexi's heart was aroused again. She asked curiously, "Is there any special purpose for you to collect these things? And what about the crescent moon on your forehead? You won't have a tattoo on your forehead, will you?" Speaking of this, Shen Yuexi felt a little weird in his heart. Although that crescent moon added a bit of enchanting charm to Chen Qing. However, for modern society, this fashion is still a bit too advanced. As far as she knows, this kind of dress can only be seen at comic exhibitions. Tattoos. Chen Qing's mouth twitched. For some reason, he thought of those spiritual guys in his previous life who had betel nuts tattooed on their foreheads. However, speaking of it, after the little light GU was taken into his body, he would also leave a small star-shaped tattoo on his tiger's mouth. I hope I won't become a mental boy in the future. I explained it to you and you didn't understand it, but you'll understand it when you go back. Chen Qing replied perfunctorily. If you have to explain GU, you have to involve a bunch of this and that. Moreover, Shen Yuexi may not believe it yet. Chen Qing, who was eager to absorb the 45 years and 3 months of Taoism that had been signed in, did not have the energy to waste this time explaining. After finishing speaking, Chen Qing hung up the phone directly, and couldn't wait to enter the cultivation state. Shen Yuexi, who was hung up on the phone, sighed inexplicably in her heart. My younger brother has grown up and is disobedient. She looked at her palm, and pondered slightly. She didn't know that her younger brother was so big now that she couldn't beat him. Sure enough, as the saying goes, you should hit your brother as soon as possible. Although when she was a child, Chen Qing often suffered from mixed doubles between her and her girlfriends. But now, I'm afraid she and her girlfriends combined can't beat Chen Qing. However, Chen Qing has also grown from a young boy to a reliable big boy. If it weren't for Chen Qing this time, the company's crisis would not be so easy to solve. Thinking of Chen Qing with a cold expression in the photo, and the purpose of being brought back by Uncle Ant, Shen Yuexi's beautiful cheeks became inexplicably hot. But soon, Shen Yuexi withdrew her little thoughts, and her whole body once again entered the working state of that Zhongcheng strong woman. The cold and capable aura climbed onto Shen Yuexi's body again. She was like a queen on the throne. Xiaoli, please contact Boss Zheng of Yuanshuang Science and Technology Park, and ask him if the price of the Science and Technology Park can be further reduced. Shen Yuexi picked up her work phone, clicked on Weixin and sent a voice message. A moment later, there was a knock on the door of the office, and Shen Yuexi's exclusive assistant walked in. The little girl's eyes were full of admiration, and she reported, Boss Zheng said that he would sell us the Science and Technology Park and all the equipment for a price of 240 million dragon coins. But he asked for cash immediately. I bargained for 235 million dragon coins. He didn't refuse. Shen Yuexi frowned slightly, and tapped the table with her long, fair fingers. The price of 235 million yuan is not expensive. In terms of the equipment, laboratories and complete industrial chain of the other party's Science and Technology Park, it is completely worth it. In the later stage, it is only necessary to arrange some reliable security systems. Buying some cutting-edge experimental equipment can easily turn this place into a world-class laboratory. However, the demand for immediate cash payment made her a little dissatisfied. How can there be such a thing in business? Before the other parties things are thoroughly checked and there is no problem, it is definitely not possible to pay all the money at once. Otherwise, once something goes wrong, it will be impossible to find someone afterwards. And the reason why the other party offered this condition was probably because of the fact that she has a lot of cash flow in her hands. However, is Boss Chen's behavior looking down on her? Thinks she will be dazzled by the huge wealth in her hands? Then she can only say that Boss Chen is thinking too much. Shen Yuexi stopped tapping the finger on the table, and said in a deep voice, "Reject the other party's request for a one-time payment, and the other 235 million price is too high. Tell Boss Zheng that 225 million dragon coins is the bottom line of the final price I will give him." In addition, Boss Chen, who told him Chengxi Taihei Science and Technology Park, also wants to sell the Science and Technology Park in his own hands, and the price is much cheaper than him, and Boss Zheng is more anxious to sell than us. Although the deadline given by Chen Qing is 1 month. However, if the other party's Science and Technology Park can be bought, then just add some cutting-edge experimental equipment and deal with security issues. In terms of time, she has a lot of time. Moreover, with a huge cash flow, she obviously has more room for choice than these bosses who are eager to sell the Science and Technology Park to restore blood. Yes, boss, Xiaoli nodded heavily and replied. At the same time, she also lamented in her heart the toughness of her boss. Don't you want a one-time payment? Hey, I'll cut you 10 million directly, whether you like it or not. Anyway, your family is not the only one selling it. Definitely, Boss Chen's Science and Technology Park is definitely the best choice in Zhongcheng. After all, the scale of Boss Chen's Science and Technology Park is definitely the largest in Zhongcheng, and it can even be ranked in the forefront in the entire Dragon Country. At this moment, Shen Yuexi, who has received much attention, suddenly made a bold move towards the news of the development of the technology industry. In a very short period of time, it quickly spread to the ears of everyone in the Longguo business district. When they knew that Shen Yuexi was going to develop in this direction, they all showed sneering expressions. Because the technology industry can be different from other industries. The technology industry needs a strong scientific research team to constantly launch new technologies to attract the public's desire to buy. However, this requires the quality of the scientific research team to be strong enough. If the scientific research team has been unable to produce any useful results, it will be a bottomless pit of burning gold. No amount of money could be swallowed up. It is precisely for this reason that so many bankrupt bosses of science and technology parks cannot continue to work. And Shen Yuexi suddenly wants to develop the technology industry. They can only say one thing. A company that started as a novice, and whose business had little to do with scientific research before, also wants to gain a foothold in the technology industry. They can only say that Shen Yuexi is really too young. They are already prepared to watch Shen Yuexi fall over his head and put all the income he earned from shorting the Stark Group into this bottomless pit. In Tony's beach house, Chen Qing let out a long breath, and slowly opened his eyes. A flash of spiritual light also disappeared the moment he opened his eyes. I should be the peak rank 2 GU master now. This speed of improvement is really scary. If I sign in a few more key plots, when Thanos comes over, I can just press him into the ground and hammer him. Feeling the tyrannical strength in his body and the true energy coiled in his dantian, which was dozens of times thicker than before, Chen Qing murmured happily. System, open my current information panel. Single quote. Chen Qing said in his mind. Ding, the information panel has been opened for you. Host, Chen Qing. Current state, peak rank 2 GU master. Physical level, level 2 peak with 20 tons of strength, 40 meters per second speed, and 10 times the physique of ordinary people. Cultivation method, all things turn into GU Tiangong, immortal level exercise. GU insects, rank 1 GU insects, golden light GU, moonlight GU, little light GU, bone corrosion GU, green butterfly GU. GU treasure, rank 1 GU treasure, immortal king GU ding. Item, GU insect breeding gift pack X10. Sure enough, this time the improvement is huge. With my current strength, even with the strength of my physical body alone, it is enough to compete with most superheroes on Earth. Chen Qing clenched his fists, feeling the surging power in his body, and murmured. His current strength is already comparable to Spider-Man. In terms of speed, he is even comparable to a car running to 144 yards. And in terms of physical strength, it is 10 times that of ordinary people. Except for a slightly weaker combat awareness, he has crushed most of the superheroes on the Earth in other aspects. Definitely, Chen Qing is a GU master. The strongest ability of a GU master is not touching flesh with others, shedding blood and sweat. The strongest GU masters are those GU worms with endless abilities. If GU worms are counted, it may be in the future Avengers. In other words, only Thor, Tony, Green Titan, and Captain America, the strongest fighters, can stand in front of Chen Qing. Even Spider-Man falls short of meaning. At this moment, Chen Qing, whose strength has increased greatly, can't wait to rush out and find someone to fight. But unfortunately, no matter whether it is Thor, Captain America, or the Green Titan, they have not yet appeared. So much so that Chen Qing couldn't find a suitable opponent to fight with him now. Chen Qing had no choice but to hold back her hot mood and force herself to calm down. The next task for me is to get familiar with my own abilities as soon as possible, besides signing in. Chen Qing has made plans for his future. If you don't adapt to these abilities well, just operate them simply and roughly. Then, in the future, he will inevitably become a high-scoring and low-powered one, who will be easily beaten by enemies with rich combat experience. Didn't you see that Captain America used 2 or 3 tons of power to directly lift up and beat the Spider-Man, which has a power of 20 tons and surpassed itself in all attributes? After a brief rinse, Chen Qing directly entered the villa's gym and started his own exercise. He intends to start adapting to his soaring strength from the most basic aspects. In the next 3 days, Chen Qing has been soaking in the gym, doing all kinds of training. Even because those basic exercise props have gradually begun to be insufficient. He also asked Little Pepper to order a batch of special fitness equipment. When Pepper directed people to move a full 20-ton barbell, a treadmill with a top speed of 150 km per hour, and a machine that could randomly launch super high-speed baseballs with a speed of up to Mach 3 into the villa. Little Chilly looked at Chen Qing with weird eyes. She couldn't understand why Chen Qing would spend money to customize this kind of thing. However, Chen Qing is a guest of her boss, and she only needs to meet Chen Qing's request. As for what Chen Qing was going to do, that was out of her consideration. So, after putting things down, she left. And with the help of these specially customized fitness equipment, Chen Qing has almost mastered her skyrocketing physical fitness in just 3 days. At the same time, he can also control his soaring true energy like a finger. From a more intuitive level, the current Chen Qing is no longer the same as when he was in Afghanistan, with only less than 10 minutes of fighting time. It is also driving the Golden Light GU, which is a rank 1 GU worm. At this moment, Chen Qing is able to last for 7 or 8 hours under the Golden Light attached state of the Golden Light GU. Even if it is directly transformed into a substantial light wall, it is enough to last for a full hour or 2. This will make Chen Qing more calm during the battle. As for why Chen Qing suddenly stopped exercising, it was not because he felt that he had almost had enough. It's because Tony and Ethan came over. During these 3 days, the 2 scientific madmen, Tony and Ethan, just soaked in the laboratory. Even eating, drinking are all done in the laboratory. If it wasn't for something that happened, these 2 people wouldn't have found themselves. Tell me what happened. Under the terrified eyes of Tony and Ethan, he put down the barbells on both sides that were almost as big as a car, and Chen Qing clapped his hands and walked down the steps that were specially built to let him pick up the barbells better, and walked towards the 2, asked at the same time. Gudong. Tony and Ethan swallowed at the same time. They couldn't figure out why this thin-looking young man from the Dragon Kingdom possessed such terrifying power in his body. If they read it correctly, on the 2 huge amounts of iron lumps, there are 10 T logos written on them respectively. This also means that the barbell weighs a full 20 tons. The weight of a light tank is not so outrageous. For a while, the voices of the 2 of them became much quieter, and the whole person became restrained. It's like this. Our research has made preliminary progress. In the phosphorus powder you provided before, we discovered the existence of healing factor. If the recovery speed is reduced, 1 gram of phosphorus powder can produce about 100 essences. Although the effect of these essences is not as effective as the phosphorus powder, it is enough to have 1/10 of the effect. Ethan carefully avoided Chen Qing, who was approaching, and explained at the same time. Tony did the same. They were worried that Chen Qing, who possessed terrifying and strange powers, would accidentally break their little arms and legs. 1 gram can only produce 100 essences. Chen Qing's hand holding the towel was stiff, and he said in a deep thought, "This number is a bit too small. I can't provide too much phosphorus powder at present. I can produce 10 grams per day, which is not bad." GU worms are still worms after all, they are living creatures. Although under the birth of Chen Qing's true qi, it can stimulate the green butterfly GU to generate more phosphorus powder. However, producing 10 grams of phosphorus powder is almost the limit that a rank 1 GU insect can achieve by the jade butterfly GU. If there are more, it will also damage the butterfly GU originally. Moreover, besides the immortal king GU Ding, it is the only active recovery method on hand. It is impossible for Chen Qing to squeeze the butterfly GU without limit. Otherwise, what if he encounters a dangerous situation himself? Is it only 10 grams? That means you can only produce 1,000 tubes of essence per day. Tony frowned. Such a quantity obviously cannot meet the demand of the market. If you want to really open up the market, it must be at least 100,000 level. Unless the essence focuses on the high-end market, to make money from the rich. However, this was contrary to what he and Chen Qing had thought before. This powerful essence, in their previous vision, is to make it affordable for people all over the world. Is there any other way to increase production? Tony folded his arms and asked aloud. Yes, to refine the jade butterfly GU, you need sunflowers, green heart vines, fluorescent moss, and poisonous insects that are more than 10 years old. If I can find them, I can refine them. Chen Qing wiped his sweat, put down the towel and said. Then, he asked Tony again, "By the way, Tony, what happened to the special ores and plants I asked you to collect for me?" Tony was also relieved to hear that there was a solution. As for what Chen Qing said, he didn't know exactly. However, as long as money can buy things, that's not a problem. The last thing he needs, Tony Stark, is money. I remember Potts mentioned it to me once before, let me take a look. Tony made a calm gesture, then picked up a translucent tablet from the side, and flipped through it. Soon, he found what he wanted on this translucent tablet. Oh, yes, I have collected almost 2,000 kinds, but because I don't know what you need, most of them are just a sample. Want to take a look? If you can determine what you need, subsequent collection will be much easier. Tony looked at Chen Qing and asked. Yes, wait for me to rush at you and we'll go there. Chen Qing's eyes lit up suddenly, and she said aloud. He didn't expect that Pepper's efficiency was so high. In just 3 days, more than 2,000 strange ores and plants were collected. I don't know how Shen Yuexi's progress is, I hope she won't be compared to Xiaojili. After simply washing off the sweat on his body, Chen Qing changed into a moon-white gown, and followed Tony to the warehouse where these special items were stored. Because special things generally have radiation of one kind or another. So, after the little Pepper took back these things. These special ores or plants have been stored in special warehouses, separated and isolated with lead metal boxes one by one. Here are the special ores and plants collected so far. However, these ores contain not weak radiation. Are you sure you really need these things? Tony asked, frowning as he looked at the ores and plants stored in the lead box. Chen Qing looked at the photo pattern pasted on the side of the lead box, nodded and said, these radiations are actually a kind of energy in essence. Although it may be harmful to the human body, it may not be like this for special creatures. At the moment, through the system scan, Chen Qing easily recognized the names, effects, and types of GU insects that these ores and plants could refine. Among the more than 2,000 kinds of ores and plants that Tony found, there are 1172 Grade 1 materials, 533 Grade 2 materials, 372 Grade 3 materials and 75 Grade 4 materials identified by the system. In theory, Chen Qing can even upgrade GU worms to rank 4 GU worms. It's a pity that the rank of the immortal king GU Ding is too low, otherwise I should be able to raise many GU worms to rank 2 or even rank 3. Chen Qing secretly regretted it in her heart. During the 4 days of obtaining the immortal King Gu cauldron, he contributed a full 5 drops of blood essence every day. However, it still only increased the upgrade progress of the immortal King Gu Ding by 20 points, and it would take at least 16 days before the upgrade. It's not that Chen Qing doesn't want to make the progress faster. But with his current strength, 5 drops of blood essence a day is already the limit. If there is more, it may hurt his origin, or even fall into the realm. However, there are so many first-rank materials at the moment. It was enough for him to refine many GU worms that he wanted. Okay, can you find all the ingredients for the butterfly GU here? If not, I'm thinking of a way. Tony said, folding his arms. Because of the guilt of the damage caused to the world by the weapons I made. Tony is very concerned about the essence made from the phosphorus powder of Biddy GU, and he desperately hopes that he can do something for the world. That's enough, this, buy a little more of these materials, it's enough to refine the Jade Butterfly GU. Chen Qing pointed out 3 materials, warm sunflower, green heart vine, and fluorescent moss. As for the 10-year poisonous bug, although it is very rare. But it's not that hard to find. There shouldn't be too many people raising poisonous insects. Under the offensive of money, few people can withstand it. No matter how bad it is, you can also issue a reward task for others to catch. Under the offensive of money, a large number of bounty hunters will definitely be born. In Tony's words, things that can be solved with money are not problems. Chen Qing, who now holds billions of USD, also has the capital to say this sentence. At least, Chen Qing is qualified to say such a word when it comes to collecting poisonous insects from only 10 years. Tony nodded, then looked at Pepper, and said, Potts, contact the seller at that time, and buy these 3 materials in large quantities. After finishing speaking, he looked at Chen Qing who was about to speak, and interrupted directly, please let me pay the money, you know what I mean. Chen Qing, it can only be said that he really deserves to be Iron Man. The reason why I liked this character at the beginning was not because of the character of the other party who wanted to do something for the world. Well, let's arrange it as soon as possible. In addition, collect more other ores and plants. These ores and plants are also useful. In addition, let me pay for the money myself, and just send the bill back to Chen's Shengqing group. Chen Qing asked specifically. It's okay to owe favors, Chen Qing doesn't mind being in debt to Tony. For example, mobilizing the other party's contacts to help him find these special ores and plants is to owe Tony's favor. However, if you want Tony to come after buying these ores and plants, what kind of person is he? Besides, it's not that he doesn't have money himself. After a while, Tony started to develop the new energy field, and he backhandedly bought a wave of Stark Group stock soaring. Hey, this has to be another wave of huge amounts of windfall. The income will never be less than the last time. In addition, after the establishment of this pharmaceutical company, it must also be under the name of the Stark Group. His little-known Chen's Shengqing Group, in terms of background and influence, can't compare with the Stark Group, a giant of the Eagle Sauce country. In addition to the limitations of the national conditions of the Dragon Kingdom, capitalists have no soil for survival. Therefore, it is the best choice to put this pharmaceutical company, which is enough to make people jealous to madness, under the name of Stark Group. At least in the movie, even if the Eagle Sauce country officials knew that Tony had a powerful steel battle suit, they still didn't dare to force Tony to hand it over. And the establishment of this pharmaceutical company will undoubtedly cause the stock of Stark Group to skyrocket again, and it may even surpass the previous peak of Stark Group. If you are buying a wave at this time, you will inevitably make a lot of money in the stock market. Definitely, compared to the huge benefits brought by pharmaceutical companies in the future. This little income is nothing. Tony nodded without refusing. I will arrange it as soon as possible. After finishing speaking, the expression on his face became a little more relaxed, and he said with a smile, is there any place you want to go next? Do you want me to take you there to open your eyes? Eye-opening. I think it's silver cracking. Looking at Tony's lewd expression, Chen Qing still doesn't know what Tony is thinking. As a vagabond, Tony can be said to be merciful everywhere. There are no less than 3 women who have slept with them in the movies alone. Even in the movie, Pepper helped Tony deal with many women who came to him. Anyway, he can't accept this kind of stallion behavior, he is a loyal pure love party. Chen Qing waved his hand and rejected Tony's proposal, and said, "Forget it, the habits of the dragon country are different from your Yingjiang country, we are more conservative, and I also need to adjust my state to prepare for refining GU worms." Quote. Speaking of this, Chen Qing paused, and then continued, "I suggest that you also spend time and energy on continuing to study your steel battle suit. According to my estimation, there are only 2 days left before the official invasion of the alien fleet. It's been about a year, and we don't actually have enough time." This is also a mountain that has been weighing on Chen Qing's heart. Because he couldn't be sure whether the plot would develop as he thought. What if Thanos didn't talk about martial arts, and he appeared directly in the plot of Avengers 1? With his current strength, he can't defeat a monster of level sub-godfather like Thanos. Or, as he is now, he can't even beat Thanos' fleet. Well, he's talking about Thanos' capital fleet, not Chidori's cannon fodder fleet. Moreover, not to mention Thanos' main fleet, just Thanos' Holy Place 1 flagship and Holy Place 2 flagship are enough to make people despair. Tony nodded after a moment of silence. After returning to his comfort zone, he was indeed a little slack. Even though the Earth is about to face a huge amount of crisis, he still wants to have fun. At this point, the gap between him and Chen Qing is really too big. So, after returning to the laboratory, Tony immediately dragged Ethan into the laboratory. For the development of the second-generation steel battle suit Mark II, he needs Ethan, the co-creator of the Mark I, to provide him with some ideas. And Chen Qing did not continue to exercise after returning to the villa. Instead, he began to close the curtain and adjust his breath. Chen Qing's condition at the moment is actually not very good. After contributing 5 drops of blood essence today, he is actually in a very weak state at this moment. Although because of his strong physique, the loss of 5 drops of blood essence did not have a particularly big impact on Chen Qing. But basically, it is no different from ordinary men rushing 7 or 8 times in a day. But fortunately, the 10,000 Things transformation Gu Tiangong is strong enough, he only needs to adjust his breath for a while, and he can restore his state to the original state. About 5 hours later, Chen Qing slowly opened her eyes. At this moment, his state has been adjusted to the best, very suitable for refining GU. At the same time, during these 5 hours, Chen Qing also went through the refining method of the blue butterfly GU recorded in the heavenly art of transformation of everything in his mind over and over again. At least, theoretically speaking, Chen Qing felt that there was nothing wrong with him. Walking out of the room, Chen Qing came to the laboratory. At this moment, a glass room specially used for refining GU worms has been specially sorted out here. Seeing Chen Qing approaching, Tony and Ethan immediately put down their work and walked towards Chen Qing, their eyes were full of thirst for knowledge. "Chen Qing, are you going to start refining the legendary GU?" Tony asked impatiently. Tony is very curious about this legendary oriental mysterious power. These days he looked up a lot of information about GU worms. Although most of these materials come from Long Guo's online novels, they are fictional things. However, Tony, who has seen GU worms with his own eyes, naturally does not think that GU worms are fictional creatures. If GU worms were fictional, those members of 10 Rings who were cut in half would definitely be the first to disagree. Although Ethan didn't speak, the expectation on his face was equally strong. For such unknown things, they scientists always report the greatest curiosity. "Well, everything is ready." Chen Qing nodded and asked. "Ready, these boxes are filled with everything. According to the ratio you gave, these materials should be enough for you to use 13 times. The main reason is that it's not so easy to find poisonous bugs with a restricted year, but I've already contacted those bounty hunters, and poisonous bugs should be sent back tomorrow or the day after tomorrow." Tony pointed to the lead boxes in the glass laboratory and a pile of glassware containing various poisonous insects. Chen Qing glanced at the various poisonous insects in the glass dish, and nodded. "Well, if you're lucky, you can refine 13 Jade Butterfly GU. These Jade Butterfly GU can almost meet the needs of advertising in the early stage. I hope that among the 13 Jade Butterfly GU, one or a few can trigger the special effect of the Immortal King GU Cauldron, directly upgrade from a rank 1 GU insect to a rank 2 GU insect. Okay, I'm going in. Chen Qing patted the shoulders of Tony and Ethan, and walked towards the glass laboratory. Meanwhile, Tony and Ethan immediately stuck to the glass, staring at Chen Qing, wanting to see how the legendary GU was born. To be honest, if you have seen the magic of GU worms with your own eyes, they will never believe that there are such powerful bugs in the world. However, it is precisely because I have seen the magic with my own eyes. Therefore, they are more curious about how these GU worms were born. Moreover, what makes Tony and Ethan most curious is how some poisonous insects that have nothing to do with butterflies at all can turn into green butterfly GU. At this moment, Chen Qing, who walked into the laboratory, also sat down in the central position. According to his intention, a huge platform of about 10 square meters has been arranged here. In other words, Tony's villa is big enough, and most people really can't afford to have such a big laboratory at home. Chen Qing moved the Fairy King GU tripod sleeping in the Dantian. The next moment, Chen Qing raised his hand and pressed the front. A small tripod with 3 legs and 2 ears, with many poisonous insects embossed on it, flew out of his Dantian. Then, it quickly enlarged and turned into a huge ancient bronze tripod that was 2 meters high and 3 meters wide. This scene directly stared at Tony and Ethan standing outside the laboratory. Wardfa, how did this big guy come out? The two of them pressed their entire faces against the glass wall with a snap, their eyes filled with shock. If they were not separated by the glass wall in front of them at this moment, they would have to go up and touch it to see if it is the most advanced 3D projection technology. Definitely, Tony, who has seen PIM particles, is also speculating whether this may use PIM particles. However, he couldn't be sure with the naked eye before verifying it himself. At this moment, Chen Qing also started his own operation, and the two of them immediately restrained their thoughts and looked at it seriously. I saw Chen Qing's body suddenly bursting with golden light-colored glaze. Then, arms formed of golden light emerged from the layer of glazed golden light on Chen Qing's body, grabbing at the surrounding materials. This scene shocked Tony and Ethan again. So this golden light can still be used like this? The two were directly shocked by the shocked pupils. At that time in Afghanistan, Tony and Ethan had already seen the power of this golden light. It can be said that if it wasn't for the golden light emitted by Chen Qing, they might not have been able to escape from the 10 Rings camp intact. Under the siege of so many guns and bazookas, even Tony, who is wearing a steel battle suit, dare not say that he will be able to survive intact, let alone Ethan, who has no means of defense. However, neither Tony nor Ethan expected this golden light that they thought was used for defense. It can actually be turned into several arms to do different things separately. However, what happened next shocked Tony and Ethan even more. Because, after Chen Qing turned into a golden hand, he removed the glass cover covering the poisonous insects. They thought that the poisonous insect would run around because of its own habits. Then he was caught by Chen Qing's big golden hand. However, to the surprise of Tony and Ethan, after the glass cover was opened, the poisonous insect seemed to have its own wisdom. Very obediently climbed onto Chen Qing's big golden hand. Hiss, Chen Qing can actually control these poisonous insects without wisdom. Tony gasped and said in disbelief. He lived such a big life, and it was the first time he heard that someone could control insects. Moreover, this is a poisonous insect that Little Pepper has just bought from someone else. When Little Pepper sent these poisonous insects, Little Pepper specially told them that these poisonous insects were unusually fierce and very poisonous. Let him be sure not to let him out without proper protection. From this, it can be concluded that even the original owner of this poisonous insect did not domesticate this poisonous insect at all. However, looking at the poisonous insect that was honestly staying in the golden palm at the moment, allowing Chen Qing to send him into the cauldron, Tony couldn't believe what kind of ferocious poisonous insect it was. Ethan on the side restrained the shock on his face. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Bosses can refine GU worms, and I think it makes sense to control poisonous worms." Tony fell silent when he heard that. Well, he admitted that Ethan had a point. Chen Qing has already refined the magical little creatures like GU worms. Isn't it easy to control poisonous insects? In a sense, Chen Qing, who can control GU insects, can actually be regarded as the king of poisonous insects. Amid the discussions between the two, Chen Qing also started his next operation. And Tony and Ethan immediately began to observe attentively. I saw a cloud of purple light rising from Chen Qing's palms. The next moment, Immortal King Ji Yu Ding seemed to respond, and the pattern of poisonous insects embossed on the top suddenly seemed to come alive, crawling on the tripod. Tony and Ethan screamed out in shock from this weird scene. Oh, my God, what the hell is this cauldron? Those things we thought were reliefs wouldn't be alive. Both Ethan and Tony felt their scalps tingling at the moment. Their desire to touch the cauldron disappeared immediately. Except for some people with weird preferences, no one would want to touch those poisonous insects. Moreover, Tony and Ethan discovered that the yin-yin purple air between Chen Qing's palms extended a fist-thick purple air column, pouring into the Immortal King Ji Yu cauldron. And from the mouth of Immortal King Ji Yu Dingding, who was blessed by this purple power, purple mist gushed out constantly. Soon, the purple mist filled the glass room like a miasma. This picture looks mysterious and treacherous. In addition, what made Tony and Ethan's scalp tingle was that the joints of those poisonous bug reliefs, where the eyes were actually glowing purple. Under the surrounding lavender mist, it is looming. In addition, these reliefs are still crawling, which makes the picture even more weird. For the first time, Tony and Ethan felt that it was not unreasonable for GU worms to be powerful. If it's not powerful, I'm sorry for the weird scene in front of me like a horror movie. Tony and Ethan turned their eyes away from Ji Ding and turned to Chen Qing. Surrounded by the purple mist, Chen Qing also became faintly visible, with streaks of purple light jumping from time to time on his handsome cheeks with a bit of bewitching. Tony and Ethan swallowed at the same time, feeling their scalps tingling. If it is placed in a movie, like Chen Qing, then it is definitely a supervillain who kills without batting an eyelid. With good looks and abilities, plus this weird way of practicing GU, it doesn't look like a decent character at all. At this moment, Chen Qing naturally didn't know what Tony and Ethan were thinking. Even if he knew, Chen Qing didn't have the energy to deal with them now. Because, the refining of the green butterfly GU has reached a critical moment. The refining of GU worms is actually not as difficult as Chen Qing imagined before. It is only necessary to refine the substances put into it according to specific ratios and techniques. Just extract what you want, and then integrate it into the poisonous insect's body. In this way, the poisonous insects can naturally metamorphose into the GU insects they want to refine. Chen Qing didn't know what the reason was. But it doesn't matter, if you want to use the refrigerator, do you have to know how the refrigerator is cooled? As long as you know that if you do this, you will become a GU insect. Chen Qing followed the process that he had simulated countless times in his mind step by step, and started his own GU practice. I don't know if it's because of the Immortal King GU Ding, or he is really a genius. Chen Qing's journey has been very smooth, everything seems so silky smooth. But in the past 5 minutes, the green butterfly GU has already begun to take shape. And the next step is to carry out the last step. This step is to condense the gas into a cocoon. Whether the GU worm can succeed or not depends on the opponent's strength and whether it can break out of the shell. At this point, Chen Qing couldn't make any intervention. Everything is like opening a blind box, and we can only resign ourselves to fate. Definitely, if he can refine seizing heaven GU in the future, the situation will be different. Seizing the sky GU is a kind of GU insect that can plunder the luck of the heaven and the earth and impose it on oneself forcibly. Once it reaches the 7th rank, it can even achieve the effect of saying something. At that time, even if the GU worm couldn't break the cocoon, it must be able to break it under the effect of Duotian GU. Accompanied by Chen Qing's operation, the purple mist that spewed out before quickly condensed towards the center of the Immortal King GU Ding. Then, the poisonous insects that were originally located in the center of the ancient tripod, which had been dyed colorfully by the essence of various materials, were wrapped up, forming a substantial purple cocoon. The next step is to wait patiently. The poisonous insects bred in it can break through this layer of cocoon, and can ascend to the sky in one step and become GU insects. If you can't break through this layer of cocoon, you can only die in the cocoon. However, according to Wanwahua GU Tiangong, dead cocoons are not useless. Because these cocoons also have certain characteristics of GU insects, they can be used as one-time consumables. Although the effect may only be 1/10 of that of GU worms. However, In some cases, it may be able to play a big role. Waited quietly for about 3 minutes. A crackling sound like a broken eggshell reached Chen Qing's ears. This made Chen Qing, who was still resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes, and said with joy, "It's done." As long as the cocoon can be successfully broken, it means that the refining of the GU worm has been successful. And the next step is to look forward to whether the special effect of the Immortal King GU cauldron can be triggered. If it succeeds, the Jade Butterfly GU in front of him will become the only and the first rank 2 GU in Chen Qing's hands. After reaching the Jade Butterfly GU of rank 2 GU insects, the effect is unmatched by rank 1. The power of a rank 2 GU worm is at least 3 times stronger than that of a rank 1 GU worm. Thinking of this, Chen Qing immediately set his expectant eyes on the Immortal King GU Ding. Click, click, click. As the cocoon breaking sound grew louder, the Immortal King GU Ding trembled slightly. The original purple light on the Immortal King GU Ding now flickered like a breathing lamp. As the owner of the Immortal King GU Ding, Chen Qing knew that this was the Immortal King GU Ding trying to improve the Biddy GU. If the product is successfully refined, then the Jade Butterfly GU refined this time will directly become a rank 2 GU worm. The effect is far beyond what rank 1 GU worms can match. However, whether it will be successful or not, Chen Qing cannot predict. About half a minute later, the big purple cocoon was already covered with cracks. This big purple cocoon can no longer restrain the GU worms inside. The look of anticipation in Chen Qing's eyes became even stronger. Whether it can be done or not depends on the next step. Suddenly, a purple beam of light burst out from the Immortal King GU Ding. Then, a huge butterfly made of 7-colored crystal brazenly rushed out of the tripod's mouth. The huge amounts of double wings are obviously much larger than the Jade Butterfly GU signed in earlier. The previous Jade Butterfly GU only had the file size of a palm at best. However, the Jade Butterfly GU in front of him already has the file size of a human head. Such a huge amount of Jade Butterfly GU is obviously not comparable to the previous rank 1 Jade Butterfly GU, which means that Chen Qing is off to a good start. It seems that my luck is good today. Chen Qing smiled slightly, stretched out her slender fingers and smiled lightly. The next moment, the green butterfly GU, which was still flying freely, immediately landed on Chen Qing's fingertips as if it had been summoned. Those flapping crystal wings are so beautiful that they don't seem to exist in this world. At the same time, a panel also appeared beside this Jade Butterfly GU. Butterfly GU. Level: Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability: Healing GU Insect. Its own phosphorus powder can make the physical wounds of the second rank peak heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. If you directly choose to sacrifice the green butterfly GU, it can directly recover the second rank peak physical body from minor injuries and recover more than 70% of serious injuries. Near-death injuries can be recovered by 30%, and it can make the second rank peak GU master recover more than 30% of his true energy. Advanced rank 3 GU insect requirements: Nueniang grass X10, Tianxin grass X10, 10-year poisonous insect X10. Feeding requirements: daily consumption of warm sun grass nectar X5. Hiss, it has improved so much. Looking at the information about the second turn of the Jade Butterfly GU in front of her, Chen Qing couldn't help but gasp. You know, his current physique is at the peak of the second rank. Theoretically, it has surpassed the physique of genetic fighters like Captain America and Winter Soldier, and is even comparable to Spider-Man. This kind of physique is even several times or even dozens of times higher than that of ordinary people. However, even with his current physique, he can recover quickly with the help of rank 2 Jade Butterfly GU. It is conceivable how powerful this rank 2 Jade Butterfly GU is. Moreover, as long as Chen Qing didn't suffer instant death injuries, Chen Qing would be able to instantly recover 30% of her injuries once she sacrificed the rank 2 Jade Butterfly GU. In a sense, this is equivalent to having a second life. The Jade Butterfly GU at rank 2 is just so exaggerated. How about the Jade Butterfly GU at rank 3, 4, or even higher? Chen Qing's eyes were full of heat. Moreover, the power of rank 2 GU worms also allowed him to truly see what a glorious future the GU Master Path has. The gap between rank 2 GU worms and rank 1 GU worms directly presents a tenfold, tens of fold increase. So, what is the gap between rank 2 GU worms and rank 3 GU worms? According to this speed of improvement, only rank 5 is needed. No, only rank 4 GU worms are needed. He is sure to face the threat from Thanos, the level sub-godfather powerhouse. After all, there is such a big difference between each revolving GU worm. When this gap increases 4 or 5 times, the gap will be magnified to an astonishing level. However, there are so many strong people in the Marvel Universe, although his future is doomed to be invincible. But it's better not to expand too much. Concentrating the small thoughts in her heart, Chen Qing calmed down, and then began to refine the green butterfly GU. With these 13 ingredients, he didn't know how many jade butterfly GU he could refine. However, Chen Qing felt that his luck today was pretty good, maybe he could give him a surprise. Next, Chen Qing maintained the speed of once every half an hour, and after a total of 6.5 hours, all the 13 materials were consumed. Chen Qing's luck today is indeed not bad. 10 times out of 13 materials were successfully completed, which is almost 80% of the success rate. In the 10 successful times, Chen Qing has refined a total of 2 Jade Butterfly GU for rank 2, 8 Jade Butterfly GU for rank 1, and 3 failed refining, which can only be used as one-time consumables. Turn the green butterfly GU once. These 3 failed rank 1 Jade Butterfly GU can only be used as a sacrifice to restore one's own injuries and true chi. To a certain extent, it is no different from Little Red Bottle and Little Blue Bottle. Moreover, as long as Chen Qing wanted to, he could even use this Jade Butterfly GU that failed in refining to other people. It can only be said that this one-time green butterfly GU cannot be regarded as a success, but it cannot be regarded as a complete failure. I don't know when I will be able to raise my hand and release countless GU worms. Single quote. Chen Qing flirted with that scene for a while. He felt that the scene would be very handsome. At this moment, Tony and Ethan, who had been standing outside the glass laboratory without feeling tired at all, saw Chen Qing put away the Immortal King GU cauldron. Immediately opened the door and rushed in. The two looked at the colorful crystal butterflies flying in the glass room, their eyes full of amazement. Lord, it's like a miracle. These insects, which have nothing to do with butterflies, have actually turned into butterflies. With trembling hands, Ethan reached out to a bitty GU. And because of Chen Qing, the butterfly GU did not resist Yi Sen, but flapped its wings and landed on Yi Sen's fingertips. The heaviness of slightly pressing his hand made Ethan feel as if there was a piece of glass on his finger. He touched Biddy's wings carefully. The cold and smooth touch made Ethan couldn't believe that the butterfly was still flying freely in the air before. It's so exquisite, and this Jade Butterfly GU is bigger than the normal Jade Butterfly GU. This should be the rank 2 GU you mentioned, right? Chen Qing. While observing, Tony asked Chen Qing beside him. Well, that's right. As Chen Qing said, he raised his hand and collected all the green butterfly GU flying in the air into the GU insect space. Only the rank 2 Jade Butterfly GU in Ethan's hand remained. Then, Chen Qing followed up and introduced. According to the data on paper, the effect of this rank 2 Jade Butterfly GU is more than 20 to 30 times that of rank 1 Jade Butterfly GU. Hiss. In the laboratory, the sound of Tony and Ethan gasping suddenly sounded. In the cognition of Tony and Ethan, the green butterfly GU is already very abnormal. The effect simply surpassed all existing medical methods. Even Tony can't imagine how many years it will take for modern medical technology to achieve the effect of turning the green butterfly GU. However, Chen Qing now told him that the effect of the second-rank Jade Butterfly GU is 20 to 30 times that of the first-rank Jade Butterfly GU. What is this concept? If it is used in weapons, this gap is equivalent to upgrading the catapult into a precision-guided rocket. Boss, does this mean that even if we take out the shrapnel from Tony's chest, turn 2 Jade Butterfly GU can save his life? At this moment, Ethan asked suddenly. Ethan actually admires Tony very much, and thinks that Tony's world is enough to change the world. At this moment, thinking of the means of treating Tony immediately, he naturally wanted to try it. Definitely, the main reason is that the hospital was not sure about curing Tony. Because the shrapnel was so close to Tony's heart, the doctors weren't sure they would be able to deal with the subsequent injuries. Hearing Ethan's words, Tony was moved and at the same time looked at Chen Qing. If the time bomb on the heart can be solved, who is willing to risk their lives all the time? It doesn't need to be so troublesome, just use this. Chen Qing tossed the butterfly Gu whose hands were full of cracks and failed to refine and said. Chen Qing originally wanted to experiment, what would be the effect after turning the jade butterfly Gu to sacrifice. At this moment, Tony in front of him is naturally the best experiment subject. Tony's injury can be said to be between serious injury and endangered. Although it seems that there is nothing wrong on the surface, it is actually listed on the list of the King of Hades. If it wasn't for the suction of the reactor in his chest, those shrapnel piercing into the flesh and blood might kill Tony at any time. Moreover, Tony, as his partner, is also the first backbone elite of the Scarlet Great Wall, a future scientific research giant. It is also necessary for Chen Qing to heal Tony's injury. Isn't this the jade butterfly Gu that failed in refining? What's the use of this? Curiosity suddenly appeared in the eyes of Tony and Ethan. They could see clearly in the glass laboratory before, Chen Qing failed in refining 3 times in total, and the one in front of him is one of them. Moreover, it is also the one they think is the most regrettable. Just a little bit, this green butterfly Gu can break through the big purple cocoon and get out. It's a pity that at the last trembling time, the success fell short, and the chance to break out of the cocoon was completely lost. Chen Qing smiled slightly, and pointed to the experimental table beside him. Lie down. Tony did as he was told, and lay down on the experimental table, but he didn't stay idle, and said constantly, do you want to treat me? But don't you need to take out the shrapnel? It seems that the butterfly Gu can only speed up cells grow, so as to achieve the effect of recovering from the injury. Speaking of this, Tony felt something was wrong and sat up suddenly, looked at Chen Qing and exclaimed, wait, you don't want to dissect me here, do you? Chen Qing tilted his head and smiled, then pushed Tony back. Tony was shocked, and hurriedly shouted loudly and struggled, I haven't had anesthesia yet. At least give me anesthesia. And this place doesn't meet the requirements of a sterile room. By the way, do you have a medical qualification certificate? But unfortunately, under the absolute power of Chen Qing, Tony's struggle seemed insignificant. Help me hold him down, or knock him out directly. Chen Qing greeted Ethan on the side and said. And Ethan also came over with a smile, helping Chen Qing to hold down the restless Tony. Neither Tony nor Ethan was worried that Chen Qing would harm Tony. After all, if Chen Qing wanted to make a move, it was the best time in Afghanistan. In terms of Chen Qing's methods at the time, it would not take much effort to get rid of the two of them, all that was needed was for the crescent-like Gu to brush their throats slightly. That's how they end up with those 10 Rings members. Chen Qing ignored Tony's struggle, and when his right hand was free, Chen Qing used the golden light Gu to condense on his fingertips into a golden knife as thin as a cicada's wings, and then stretched it towards Tony's chest. Don't be nervous, take a deep breath, dizziness is normal, and you won't know anything after a while. Although I've never dissected a human being, I've done things like killing chickens and ducks. It should be the same. Chen Qing comforted him. However, Tony suddenly became more nervous. Wait, I think we should not be so anxious, can't we let professional people do professional things? I have a professional medical team, and they will come soon. Quote. What is killing chickens and ducks has also been done. Can dissecting a human be compared to killing chickens and ducks? These are completely two species. Even Ethan on the side felt a little numb, and suggested weakly, yes, boss. I think it's better to invite a professional person, or I can do it. I am also a doctor anyway. Don't be so troublesome, this is also a profound lesson for Tony, never put yourself in danger. Chen Qing said meaningfully, and then the golden sharp knife on his fingertips cut it mercilessly. Puff! Suddenly, a large amount of plasma splashed. However, due to being bound by the golden light Gu, the blood was not sprayed everywhere. Chen Qing didn't want the place where he practiced Gu to become bloody. Meanwhile, Ethan's pupils trembled when he saw Chen Qing's brutal approach. I'm afraid this knife is not the main artery of the knife, right? As for Tony, it's the same as what Chen Qing said, he doesn't know anything. However, facing the situation that he might have cut Tony's aorta, Chen Qing did not appear panicked. If the green butterfly Gu can't be cured at the first rank, it's a big deal to go to the second rank directly. Even with his physique, sacrificial second-rank Jade Butterfly GU can bring him back from the endangered line, let alone an ordinary person like Tony. Chen Qing controlled the golden light GU to turn into slender threads, inserted into Tony's chest along the incision, and easily took out the shrapnel. After confirming that all the shrapnel had been taken out, Chen Qing took the one-time Jade Butterfly GU from the side. Then, make sure to use it for Tony. Crash. Suddenly, the purple cocoon turned into countless purple light spots, rushing towards Tony's chest. Under the effect of the green butterfly GU, Tony's chest began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ethan, who was still trembling at the side and thought he had killed Tony, immediately widened his eyes. Because, he saw with his own eyes that those severed blood vessels quickly began to connect and heal. The flesh and blood were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the terrifying speed even made him feel like he was watching a real holographic movie. My God, what a miracle! Ethan couldn't help but exclaim. Although Ethan has also seen the effect of the butterfly GU before. But after all, what he recovered was only a flesh wound. But now in Tony's chest, the blood vessels and organs are restored. Even Ethan saw that Chen Qing's previous knife accidentally affected his ribs with a big cut, and they were healing rapidly at the moment. If this is not a miracle, what else can it be? For a while, Ethan was a little unconfident about the science he had studied for most of his life. If mysterious powers like GU worms possess such terrifying power, so what are they doing so hard to research science and technology? Can their research really work in the face of these mysterious forces? At the moment, Chen Qing is also doing the finishing touches. Naturally, the blood flowing out of Tony's body cannot be wasted. Under the golden light package of the golden light GU, the blood was not polluted and could be injected directly back into Tony's body. After the injury on Tony's chest fully recovered, Chen Qing used the golden light of the golden light GU to turn into a huge amounts of blood transfusion bag. Then, he took a long and thin tube and inserted it directly into Tony's vein. With the backflow of blood, Tony's originally pale face gradually became rosy. This scene made Ethan on the side numb. He became even more confused about whether to stick to the path of science. At this moment, Ethan seems to be able to understand why such masters of science as Newton and Einstein began to study theology in their later years. Because there are too many things in this world, which are beyond the scope of human cognition. The existing scientific system of mankind is really too weak. Wanting to interpret the truth of the world with the knowledge of human beings, originally is a big joke. At this moment, Chen Qing, who was done with everything, also noticed the confusion on Ethan's face. Chen Qing grabbed Ethan's shoulders and asked, "What's wrong? What made my chief scientist fall into a daze?" Ethan smiled wryly, and said, "Boss, in terms of the miracles you have shown, do you think that technology is really necessary to develop? On the contrary, I think that if this GU can spread to the world, it will help the world. More powerful than technology. The Earth's technology has developed for so many years, and has gone through several technological explosions. The level of medical care is still just that level. However, his own boss only used a small GU worm. It's just a small rank 1 GU worm, and it's done this kind of dead man, flesh and blood." He was really not sure what role he could play. Chen Qing, who heard Ethan's distress, froze for a moment, then said dumbfoundedly, "Ethan, do you think my GU is too simple?" Ethan looked at Chen Qing in confusion, waiting for Chen Qing's explanation. Chen Qing didn't mind answering questions for his chief scientist. He followed up and said, "It requires extremely high qualifications to take my path, and there are very few people who can take this path, and my GU is among all in GU. It is also an absolute top existence. Ordinary people's rank 3 GU insects may not be able to compare with my rank 1 GU insects." These words Chen Qing did not say to comfort Ethan. As a fairy-level Kung Fu, the 10,000 Things Transformation GU Heaven Kung Fu is extremely difficult to cultivate. If it wasn't for the help of the system, Chen Qing wouldn't even be sure if he was qualified to practice the 10,000 Things Transformation GU Heaven Kung Fu. Moreover, the GU worms rewarded to him by the system, as well as the GU worms he refined, are far beyond what ordinary GU worms can match. If you have to compare, then his GU worms are almost in the category of GU kings, and their strength is far superior to ordinary GU worms. So that's how it is. Ethan woke up suddenly. He said, how could such a heaven-defying ability be without any restrictions? It is normal if there are qualification requirements. After all, there are always some unreasonable geniuses in this world. For example, Ethan is indeed a genius to ordinary people. However, if you compare him to Tony, he is far inferior. That's right, so don't underestimate yourself. In terms of technology, I still have a lot to rely on you. Chen Qing affirmed Ethan. Although Ethan may not be able to develop a variety of powerful steel battle suits like Tony, it is also impossible to research black technologies like PIM particles and quantum shuttle devices. However, Ethan is the top physicist of Blue Star after all. It is more than enough to help him move out the technologies that he knows in the future that can make a lot of money in advance. After all, those things are not originally technically high. It's just that because the idea didn't arrive, it has never been realized. As for Chen Qing from the future, what he lacks most is ideas. Is that so? I will definitely not let you down, boss. Ethan, who was slapped with chicken soup by Chen Qing, rekindled his fighting spirit. At this moment, Ethan has the feeling of dying for his confidant. And just when Ethan was about to say something, Tony on the side suddenly sobbed. Chen Qing and Ethan immediately stopped talking and turned their attention to Tony. Tony, who was so frightened that he passed out, opened his eyes faintly, and asked, "Am I in hell?" That's not true. The operation was very successful. You are now a girl. Chen Qing came over and joked. What? Tony stood up with a jerk and pulled his pants down. When he saw that little Tony was still staying in the same place, Tony breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay, my happiness is still there, this can't be a joke. Chen Qing smiled mysteriously. You know, there is a Chinese idiom called ostentation. Tony panicked instantly. Huh. Chen Qing was amused by Tony's shocked expression. Don't worry, you are not just showing off. Tony breathed a sigh of relief. Well, Chen Qing continued to tease. You can only be regarded as half empty at best, in simple terms, you are half short. Tony panicked. Huh. Fortunately, Ethan couldn't stand it anymore, and interrupted from the side. Boss is joking with you. Judging by your appearance, you should be fine, right? Tony looked at Ethan suspiciously. In the end, he chose to believe Ethan's words. He didn't think his good friend would lie to him. Then, Tony looked at Chen Qing with resentful eyes, and said, there is nothing serious about the body, but the heart is not very good and cannot bear too much stimulation. If there is a problem in that aspect, it will be more uncomfortable than killing him. Chapter 31. After confirming that his little brother was safe, Tony touched his chest curiously. He had personally seen Chen Qing mercilessly cut his heart open before, and he even heard the sound of his ribs being cut. As a result, he didn't expect that he didn't feel anything at all now. Oh no, the original huge wound on his chest has disappeared. In addition to the skin still looking a little fair and tender, there is a huge gap with the surrounding skin color. It is almost impossible to see that there have been tragic injuries that are almost fatal. It's amazing. Ethan, did you record the video just now? Tony looked at Ethan and asked. It's a pity that he couldn't hold on to the past and fainted directly. Otherwise, he had to take a good look at how his wound healed. Ethan froze, and smiled wryly. Sorry Tony, the previous scene was too shocking, I don't know what I should do at all. God knows how nervous he was before. I'm afraid that my own boss will take Tony away directly, so I don't have any spare time to make a video. As for the later, the scene of the wound healing was too shocking, he was too shocked, and also forgot to record the video. Would you like to do it again? I have no opinion here. And I think I might be a good fit to be a doctor. Chen Qing leaned over, and a golden blade lit up on his raised finger. Tony walked away in an instant, and at the same time waved his hand and said, since I have missed all of them, let's forget it, I think it's better to leave some regrets in life. Then, he directly pulled Ethan to change the subject and said, Ethan, you had a very good idea of the second-generation Mark armor before, and I think you can study it in depth. Ethan, who was also afraid of becoming the subject of the experiment, looked at his boss's eagerness to try, and immediately nodded and said, well, don't let the inspiration get lost, let's study it in depth. Seeing the backs of the two leaving, Chen Qing shrugged regretfully. It is a good thing to be sacrificed by a turn of the blue butterfly Gu, even many hidden wounds in the body that I can't find myself can be cured. Why some people just don't know how to cherish it. The next step is to wait for the materials and refine the little light GU. There was a trace of expectation in Chen Qing's eyes. 2 small light GU and 1 moonlight GU can be refined into moonlight GU. And the power of moonlight GU is 3 times that of moonlight GU. Moreover, after upgrading to rank 2 or rank 3 GU insects, the power will also be 3 times that of moonlight GU. Compared with the current moonlight GU, it is much stronger. At least, with the protection of Moonmang GU, Chen Qing no longer needs to worry about the threat of sniper rifles and even anti-material sniper rifles that he has been worrying about for a long time. If you increase the number of GU worms in your hand. He was getting out the few GU worms he wanted. Then, apart from nuclear bombs, there will be nothing else on Earth that can threaten him. Moreover, things like nuclear bombs are really not something that can be launched just by launching them. Nuclear bombs with terrifying killing effects are not used as conventional strategic weapons, but more of a deterrent effect. Once the nuclear bomb is launched, the 2 sides already mean immortality. As long as the country that launched the nuclear bomb is not prepared to completely anger a GU master, it will definitely not dare to act rashly. Definitely, there is another premise here, that is, Chen Qing needs to show enough strength. Otherwise, no one will know how awesome you are, so how could they be afraid? However, Chen Qing has already thought about the next stage. According to the introduction in the original plot, it was about 2 or 3 months after Tony came back from Afghanistan. Ethan's hometown will be persecuted by the 10 rings. And if he wasn't there, Tony would be there, taking care of the 10 rings for Ethan. However, now it doesn't matter if it is for the hometown of its own employees. Or to show his face in front of the world and let the world recognize his strength, Chen Qing has every reason to go to Ethan's hometown. However, before that, he still needs to work hard to improve his own strength. With my current level, if I forcefully show my face, not only will it not attract the fear of various countries, but it will attract the greedy eyes of all parties. In the following days, Chen Qing concentrated on signing in and refining various GU worms. Tony plunged into the laboratory, researching his steel battle suit and anti-Chen Qing armor. No way, Tony was really scared by Chen Qing. This old 6 really did it when he said he would do it. He was lying on the bed and was not prepared at all, so he cut it off with a pop of a knife. As for Ethan, he was sent back to China by Chen Qing. Ethan's next task is to build a world-class scientific research team in the shortest possible time. Then those high-tech products of later generations will come to this world in advance. Smartphones, smart TVs and other smart devices will all be born in this world. In addition, Chen Qing also specifically explained to Shen Yuexi that after the birth of Ethan's smartphone, he immediately established a series of companies such as Beep Taxi, Chowtuan, Starved to Death, and Trash. In the shortest time, with the fastest speed to seize market share. At that time, Shen Yuexi worriedly asked if eating so many cakes at one time would attract the prying eyes of others, and whether they would be able to keep the wealth. Chen Qing specifically explained to Shen Yuexi that she doesn't need to think about this issue, and only needs to execute the order. Because, after a while, the world will be shocked because of him. Definitely, Chen Qing didn't say the latter sentence to Shen Yuexi. After all, it sounds too secondary. And time flies by so fast. 2 months and 15 days later, Chen Qing, startled by the ringing of the phone, slowly opened his eyes. Finally stabilized the realm of a rank 3 GU master. Sure enough, compared with a rank 2 GU master, a rank 3 GU master is completely different. After Chen Qing exhaled a long breath, he clenched his fists and said with a light smile. According to the records in the 10,000 Things Transformation GU Heavenly Art, a rank 3 GU master can be regarded as officially embarking on the road of cultivation. He is qualified to be called a GU master who is enough to make people fearful. If he is fully fired at this moment, it is enough to turn a modern metropolis into a dead zone within a stick of incense. There is no rush to check your own panel information. Chen Qing picked up the phone that was ringing non-stop. When Chen Qing saw that the caller ID was Ethan, Chen Qing's pupils shrank slightly, his heart beat a little faster, and there was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. "Ethan, what's the matter?" Chen Qing asked. Immediately, Ethan's panicked voice came from the other end of the phone. "Boss, although this request is a bit difficult, please save my hometown. My hometown is suffering revenge from the 10 rings." Hearing this, a gleam flashed in Chen Qing's eyes. "His stage is ready. Don't worry, I'll rush over now, you can just wait for my news at ease." While comforting Ethan, Chen Qing picked up the white robe on the side and put it on his body. With the cruelty of 10 rings, the opponent will definitely massacre Ethan's hometown. He had to get rid of them all before the 10 rings really started the massacre. At the same time, show your strength to the world. After walking out of Tony's villa, Chen Qing made a light jump with his legs, and instantly flew tens of meters into the air. The next moment, a green light shone on Chen Qing's body, enveloping him and heading away rapidly into the distance. If there is a speed measuring device at this moment, you will find that Chen Qing's speed has even exceeded Mach 2. Breeze GU. Level. Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability. After activation, you can master the power of the wind. If you use it on yourself, you can make yourself have flight ability, and you can increase your speed up to Mach 2. If you use it on other units, it can also increase or weaken the effect. Amplification or weakening depends on the strength of the target. The maximum control range of GU insects is 100 meters. Advanced Rank 3 GU Insect Requirements. Wind Spirit Grass X10, Wind Breath Stone X10, 10 years Poisonous Bug X15. Feeding Requirements. You need to eat orchid flower petals by 5 per day. This is exactly the effect of the GU worm Chen Qing used at this moment. This is also a very practical auxiliary GU worm that Chen Qing had taken a fancy to before. While he was in the air, another black mist emerged from Chen Qing's body, enveloping him in it. Under the cover of night, Chen Qing's figure was completely hidden in the night sky. But at this moment, in the radar monitoring of the New York Air Force Base, the radar that had just issued a flight alarm fell silent instantly. The soldiers on duty didn't pay much attention to this situation. After all, this is the mainland of Yingjiang country, except for the airliner that was said to be kidnapped by terrorists back then. There is no flight animal from any country that can fly to the mainland of the Eagle Sauce country. And this is the second auxiliary type of GU worm that Chen Qing likes to use very much. Hidden Breath GU. Level. Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability. After activation, it can emit a black mist to cover the surrounding area. All breaths and movements within the enveloped area will be shielded. The maximum enveloped area is 10 meters. Advanced Rank 3 GU Insect Requirements. Shadow Grass X10, Dark Crown Stone X10, 10-year Poisonous Bug X15. Feeding Requirements. Daily consumption of Shadow Grass X5. In order to avoid being shot down by the missiles of the Eagle Sauce country. Necessary means of concealment are still needed. Chen Qing can't be exposed in front of Yingjiang country until she has performed on stage. Chen Qing didn't want to start a war with the strongest country on earth without any benefit. After doing all this, Chen Qing took the time to click on his current attribute panel. Host. Chen Qing. Current state. Mid-stage Rank 3 GU Master. Physical level. Early stage of Rank 3 GU Master with 53 tons of strength, 120 meters per second speed and 30 times of ordinary people's physique. Cultivation method. All things turn into GU Tiangong, immortal level exercise. GU Insects. Rank 1 GU Insects Bone Erosion GU X1537, Fireworm GU X872, Star Arrow GU X1127, Blue Butterfly GU X77, Second Rank GU Insects Bone Erosion GU X500, Fire Insect GU X300, Star Arrow GU X300, Moonlight GU X1, Green Butterfly GU X30, Breeze GU X1, Hidden Breath GU X1, Brute Force Beetle GU X1. GU Treasure. Rank 2 GU Treasure Immortal King GU Ding. Items. GU Insect Breeding Gift Pack X712, Biddy GU X37 Failed to Refine, Bone Corrosion GU X525 Failed to Refine, Firebug GU X357 Failed to Refine, Star Arrow GU X472 Failed to Refine, Qingfeng Failed to Refine GU X3, Hidden GU X5 Failed to Refine, Brute Force Beetle GU X5 Failed to Refine. Currently, Chen Qing not only has thousands of GU worms in his hands. At the same time, even the number of rank 2 GU worms has exceeded a full 1,000. In addition, he also has a large number of disposable GU worms that failed to be refined in his hands, which can also exert a strong power. In addition, he has the true chi cultivation of a GU master in the middle of the 3rd rank, and his physical body in the early rank of the 3rd rank. In the absence of nuclear bombs, Chen Qing is almost invincible. Ordinary troops were no threat to Chen Qing at all. Not long after Chen Qing left, Tony hurried back to the villa. Tony rushed to Chen Qing's room first, and saw that Chen Qing was not there. Tony immediately ran downstairs to the laboratory, and at the same time asked his AI butler Jarvis, how long has Chen Qing been away? The voice of Jarvis immediately sounded in the room. Sir, Mr. Chen Qing left 5 minutes and 17 seconds before you came back. Judging from what Mr. Chen Qing said, the hometown of Mr. Chen Qing's friend seems to be threatened. Tony's complexion suddenly changed, and at the same time, his pace quickened a bit. About Ethan's hometown, he was told by a female reporter at the banquet. After he found out about this, he rushed back immediately. Unexpectedly, he was still a step behind Chen Qing. I don't know if I can catch up with Chen Qing. Although I know that Chen Qing's strength is very strong. But Tony was still a little worried that Chen Qing would be in danger if he acted alone. After all, bullets don't have eyes, not to mention that he doesn't know how many weapons he made were sold to 10 rings. Tony had no idea how powerful the weapons he'd crafted were. He only hoped that he could make it in time so that Chen Qing wouldn't be alone. Soon, another black shadow rushed out of the villa, and also disappeared into the night sky instantly. The radar siren sounded again at the New York Air Force Base. However, because Tony turned on the anti-stealth device on the armor in time, Tony also quickly disappeared from the radar. The soldiers on duty with a confused face were left behind, thinking whether to call someone to repair the broken radar tomorrow. At this moment, Chen Qing and Tony are rushing to Ethan's hometown. On Longguo's side, Shen Yuexi also suffered huge amounts of threats once again. Looking at the menacing negotiator in front of her, her face was extremely gloomy. The negotiators in front of me are from the top mobile phone giants in Longguo, and some local snakes in Zhongcheng. During this period of time, Ethan has developed a brand new smartphone according to Chen Qing's request. As a result, once these smartphones were launched, they directly killed many domestic mobile phone brands in seconds. The unanimous praise of users, coupled with the fact that these smartphones are not too expensive, directly led to huge amounts of turmoil in the domestic smartphone market. This has seriously affected the survival of other mobile phone manufacturers, even those top mobile phone manufacturers. So, now the pressure from these giants is coming. The representatives of these mobile phone manufacturers immediately showed a high degree of arrogance when they arrived. As if asking for alms, Shen Yuexi was asked to hand over the technology and cooperate with them. They provide the platform and channels, while Shen Yuexi wants to hand over the core technology of the smartphone. As for the division of interests after that, it's ridiculous. These proud mobile phone giants are willing to give her 20% of the profits. Shen Yuexi was about to laugh out of anger. After all, the background of Chen's Shangqing Group is too shallow. Even at this moment, she has a cash flow equivalent to 30 billion dragon coins in her hands. But those giants still never looked down on her, nor did they look down on Chen's Shangqing Group. In the eyes of these people, Chen Qing's Shangqing Group is just a lucky upstart, not worth mentioning at all. Even though Ethan's joining had really slapped many people in the face, it still couldn't change the fact. However, even Shen Yuexi herself didn't have much confidence. After all, Chen's Shangqing Group is really just a small and medium-sized enterprise with a market value of more than 1 billion dragon coins. It's a pity that smartphones are hindered by these dragon country mobile phone giants. Otherwise, Shen Yuexi is confident that with the smartphone developed by Ethan, the market value of Chen's Shangqing Group will reach tens of billions of dragon coins. As for those local snakes in Zhongcheng, hey, it's just a group of hyenas who smell blood and want to tear a piece of flesh. These fools. Shen Yuexi's face was gloomy, and she clenched her teeth secretly. However, the smartphone launched by Ethan is indeed very easy to use. Performance and playability far surpass other smartphones of this era. Even the Fruit 4, which is known as the king of cost effectiveness and makes people want to buy it, is far less than 1% of the smartphone made by Ethan. She is not surprised at all that it will attract the prying eyes of those top mobile phone manufacturers. After all, this is caused by no background. Even before, Shen Yuexi had already guessed that such a scene would appear. It's just that she couldn't figure out what kind of confidence Chen Qing had, thinking that he could overwhelm other stalkers. Do you want to rely on Tony Stark? But Tony Stark is a business tycoon in Eagle Sauce Country after all, and has nothing to do with Dragon Country. Miss Shen, what's your thinking? If you can't make the decision on this matter, then let someone who can make the decision. A representative of a mobile phone giant group leaned on the back of the chair easily, with a proud face on his face, and said confidently. As a representative of a domestic mobile phone giant, he does have this arrogant capital. Moreover, in his opinion, Chen's Shangqing Group is indeed a little-known small business, but because of luck, it accidentally made a lot of money through gambling. But in essence, Chen's Shangqing Group is just an upstart. While speaking, the representative's eyes were constantly looking at the sullen Shen Yuexi in front of him. Tisk tisk, as expected of the woman known as Zhang Cheng's flower, she looks so pretty even when she's angry. I don't know if I have a chance to take this woman down. Thinking of this, the representative's heart suddenly became hot. The person who can make the decision is indeed not here now, please go back and wait for the notice. Shen Yuexi raised her hand to signal to see off the guests. However, neither the representatives of the mobile phone giant group nor those Zhongcheng local snakes who smelled blood and wanted to get a share of the pie did not have the slightest intention to move. The representative even smiled and said, I'm sorry, Ms. Shen, we came here with a death order. If we can't reach a cooperation with your company, our jobs will be gone, so, I'm sorry, if we don't get the result, we will lose our jobs, won't go. As he said that, he also had some slander in his heart. For those who are on the horse, if it is a normal small company, they can just buy it directly. If you can't make the acquisition, you can just spend money on it. It is also feasible to buy the other party if it is smashed, but it is just a little more troublesome. In the end, how did I know that such a freak appeared? The money in hand is more than those giant companies. The other party is really not afraid of throwing money at all. On the contrary, giant companies like them need to be afraid that they will lose both sides in the fight. Otherwise, there is no need for him to shamelessly play tricks. And those Zhang Cheng's cowards immediately nodded in agreement. Yes, Ms. Shen, others come here with sincerity, so it's not good to just see off guests like this. It's our Zhang Cheng, it's our blessing to let such a big company enter. Ms. Shen must think carefully. It's great that everyone can make money, Ms. Shen, harmony makes money. Seeing the performance of everyone in front of him, Shen Yuexi's face gradually calmed down. She stood up directly, and said in a cold voice, since everyone wants to keep it, then keep it, and I will not accompany you. After that, she turned around and left the meeting room. Since the other party is already like this, she naturally doesn't need to show any good looks. If the other party wants to keep it, she can keep it. She can't let the security guards fork these people out, otherwise the corporate image will be lost. However, just after Shen Yuexi left, several people in the meeting room suddenly showed sneers on their faces. A Zhongcheng local snake sneered and said, the little girl is still too young, do you think it will be useful to escape? At this moment, Shen Yuexi, who had returned to the office, also received bad news again. Shen Yuexi's assistant, Xiao Li, said with tears in his eyes, Boss, a group of engineering vehicles suddenly appeared and blocked the gate of our science and technology park. You fool, those bosses can only cancel the orders we cooperated with, and the quality inspection department also came to the door suddenly, saying that there is a problem with our mobile phone. The sudden outbreak of major crises hit this little girl who hadn't worked for a few years hard. She even felt as if the sky was falling down. Moreover, not only Xiao Li, but even Shen Yuexi felt a huge pressure coming. The pressure from all sides made Shen Yuexi feel a little out of breath. The black ones, the white ones, are all aimed at her at this moment, making her feel what it means to be unable to move an inch. Okay, I see. Go back and rest for a while, Shen Yuexi said to Xiao Li. Okay, boss, Xiaoli walked out with a sad face, leaving Shen Yuexi sitting alone in the office. Shen Yuexi glanced at the private mobile phone that was put aside, and murmured in a low voice, "You should have thought of the current situation, so what are you going to do?" At this moment, Chen Qing, whom Shen Yuexi was talking about, had already arrived at the sky above Ethan's hometown. After a 2-hour supersonic flight, Chen Qing successfully returned to Afghanistan. Due to the different time zones, it is noon here in Afghanistan. Therefore, Chen Qing easily saw the chaotic scene below. Those members of the 10 Rings are burning, killing and looting a group of unarmed civilians. Sin spread over this land. Moreover, the source actually comes from our own people. This is hell. There was no trace of warmth in Chen Qing's eyes, only a cold killing intent. If you use the human body to describe it, these cold-blooded terrorists are definitely cancer cells in the human body, and they must be completely eradicated. The Earth he wanted, the human race he wanted to protect, did not need these cancer cells. Star Arrow GU. Chen Qing stretched out his hands and pulled them forward. In an instant, countless golden light spots the size of the fist file swayed forward along his hands. In just a split second, a total of 302 turned-star arrow worms formed a vast galaxy in the sky. Star Arrow GU. Level. Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability. After activation, it will have extremely strong penetration ability and speed. When attacking, it looks like a shooting star. The maximum speed can reach Mach 3. It is as powerful as an anti-material sniper rifle and can penetrate 20 mm homogeneous armor. Advanced Rank 3 GU Insect Requirements. Starlight Grass X10, Meteorite X10, 10-year Poisonous Insect X15. Feeding Requirements. Daily consumption of fluorescent grass X5. Chen Qing didn't stop his movements, and made the same movement again, pulling towards the front. Hula. A total of 500 fire bug GU spread out in the sky in an instant. It turned into a bunch of fist file-sized orange fireballs, standing on the other end of the Star Arrow GU. Fire bug GU. Level. Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability. After activation, it will turn into a ball of fire, which can directly hit the enemy and form a high-temperature sea of flames with a radius of 10 meters in a suicide way. It can also spit out a long flame dragon to strike the enemy from a long distance. The longest range is 80 meters, and the flame temperature is 1200 degrees. Advanced Rank 3 GU Insect Requirements. Fire Spirit Grass X10, Lava Stone X10, 10-year Poisonous Insect X15. Feeding Requirements. Daily consumption of fluorescent grass X5. These two kinds of GU worms were specially prepared by Chen Qing to deal devastating blows to a large number of enemies. At the same time, they are also two kinds of GU worms specially selected by Chen Qing to show his strength to the world. Naturally, it was impossible for the huge movement made by Chen Qing not to be noticed by the people below. Those ordinary people who either fled in a hurry or waited to die in despair, as well as those members of the 10 Rings who were committing viciousness, raised their heads one after another, looking at the vision in the sky in shock. Among the countless starlight and flames, Chen Qing standing in the air gave them a great shock. At least in their cognition, only gods can do this kind of thing. "Oh great Allah, is this your messenger sent to save us?" Ordinary civilians raised their hands excitedly and bowed reverently. At this moment, Chen Qing, who performed miracles, was the messenger of the gods in their eyes. And those 10 Rings members also panicked. With that hand of starlight, flames, and flight, it doesn't look like an ordinary person no matter what. The other party can't really be the messenger of the gods, right? What should we do? Should we surrender? It's scary. I feel like he could easily kill us. I was wrong, I was guilty. Panic instantly spread among the 10 Rings members, and many 10 Rings members even tried to put down their weapons and knelt on the ground together. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, several gunshots alarmed everyone. I saw a bald man holding a rifle, holding a smoking rifle, and said in a cold voice, "What are you afraid of? We have more than 1,000 people here. Even if he is really some shit, the messenger of God, so what? We have the most advanced weapons of the Stark group. Even if the gods come to him, he will die here." This bald man is the real owner of 10 Rings, Raza Hamidmi. And in front of Raza Hamidmi, there were still several corpses with headshots lying upside down, obviously the unlucky ones who were shot just now. Raza Hamidmi's cruel method directly suppressed those 10 Rings members who still wanted to put down their weapons and kneel and surrender. At the same time, Raza Hamidmi's words also gave them a bit of confidence. Yes indeed, there are more than 1,000 people on their side. Moreover, it also has a large amount of Stark Group's arms, and there are a total of 5 M1A1 main battle tanks of the 3rd generation. There are more than 30 missiles of various types and more than 300 rockets. They have no reason to be afraid at all. Such a powerful firepower is even enough to arm a modern main battle battalion. Even if they really face the gods, their more than 1,000 guns may not be invincible in a fight. Fight, we want to kill God. That's right, as the rulers of the future world, we need to kill a god to prove ourselves. Did it, isn't it a god? It's just a thing of the ignorant age, kill him. 10 Rings members immediately raised their guns and shot towards Chen Qing. Da da da. The dense firepower crushed towards Chen Qing in an instant. At the same time, many 10 Rings members ran towards the tanks, missiles and rocket reflectors. At the same time, Chen Qing has also launched an offensive. 300 rank 2-star arrow GU directly turned into meteors, falling towards the 10 Rings members on the ground. The long tail left a clear afterimage in the human retina, which looked like a sharp arrow with starlight as the arrow shot towards the target. And this is also the reason why Star Arrow GU got its name. These rank 2-star arrow GU can easily pierce 20 mm thick homogeneous armor. To it, flesh and blood are as fragile as tofu. Once it hits the body of a 10 Rings member, it will pass through as soon as it is drilled, and it will be a hole the size of a fist. There is no possibility of surviving at all. As for the 300 rank 2 Firebug GU, the attack method was even more terrifying. They are like a fire-breathing soldier flying in the air, spewing out long orange-red fire dragons, burning towards the 10 Rings members below. The high temperature flame of 1200 degrees is enough to instantly ignite the human body and burn to death. In addition, the speed of Firebug GU is faster than that of ordinary drones. It makes them like the death god on the battlefield. In just an instant, the 200 or so 10 Rings members closest to Chen Qing were easily slaughtered. And, after these 10 Rings members were killed, the surrounding civilians did not suffer any harm. This precise attack method made many 10 Rings members who saw this scene a little terrified. What kind of monster is this? Could it be that the other party is really the messenger of the gods? As for those ordinary civilians, they knelt on the ground and kowtowed frantically. In their view, Chen Qing is the divine envoy sent by their great Allah to save them. But at this moment, several rockets suddenly rose from below, dragging a long tail flame, flying towards Chen Qing. Those ordinary rifle bullets can't even break through the wind barrier of Qingfeng GU. Only these rockets could make Chen Qing pay attention. However, Chen Qing didn't make any big moves, but simply used the golden light GU to condense a light whip on his fingertips. Then, he swept towards the rockets flying towards him. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, one rocket after another was directly blasted by the light whip in the air. The shattered shrapnel and the heat wave from the explosion were blown away by the sudden violent wind force of the Qingfeng GU before they could get close to Chen Qing. And this scene filled the hearts of those 10 Rings members even more with fear. To make those ordinary people more firm, Chen Qing is an envoy of God. Only the legendary envoy of God can do this kind of thing. But at this moment, the massacre of Star Arrow GU and Firebug GU is still going on. Because GU worms are creatures with their own consciousness. Therefore, Chen Qing didn't need to be distracted to manipulate them at all. Although it may not be as comfortable as Chen Qing's personal control. However, after Chen Qing set them to kill all people with weapons, these GU worms were able to complete their tasks very well. Looking at the brutal massacre below, Chen Qing didn't feel the slightest wave of emotion in his heart. These cancer cells that harm the human race must be eliminated, otherwise the world will be disturbed by them. Even after he has the ability, he will start to clean up the whole world. Facing the vast universe and countless powerful civilizations, the Earth that has not even stepped out of the solar system and entered the space civilization is really too weak. In the Marvel universe, there are too many villains who go crazy and want to destroy the world. If the Earth is not united in this situation, it is simply courting death. Chen Qing will not pin her hopes on the expectation that everything will follow the original plot. His wish is simple, to survive in this world full of monsters and psychopaths. However, at this moment, a feeling of extreme danger suddenly enveloped Chen Qing, pulling him out of his thoughts forcibly. Chen Qing immediately and subconsciously activated the defensive ability of the Golden Light GU. The Golden Light GU at the rank 2 level has become like golden-colored glaze, exuding colorful rays of light in the sun. Even in the face of an anti-material sniper rifle, with the current rank 2 Golden Light GU, it is also sure to block it. This is not over yet. Chen Qing then activated his specially refined Brute Strength Beetle GU. Brute Force Beetle GU. Level: Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability: after activation, the user's strength, physique, and defense can be greatly improved. According to the host's current body level, the maximum increase can be tripled, but after the GU insect is used, the user's flexibility will be greatly reduced. Advanced Rank 3 GU Insect Requirements: Julie Grass X10, Bazoar Stone X10, 10-year Poisonous Insect X15. Feeding Requirements: Bazoar Essence by 5 per day. This is a kind of auxiliary GU worm that is used to amplify itself and greatly improve its physical fitness. Even with Chen Qing's current physique, he could get a 3-fold increase. This means that Chen Qing at this moment will have a full strength of 159 tons and a physique 90 times that of ordinary people. As for the weakened flexibility, under the boost of Qingfeng GU, as long as the true energy is enough, the impact is actually not too big. After activating the Brute Strength Beetle GU, Chen Qing's body became stronger obviously. After doing this, Chen Qing suddenly threw his fist in the direction where the danger came out. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, the glass of the house closest to Chen Qing was even shattered. Those people on the ground also lay down directly covering their ears in pain. On Chen Qing's fist, there was a huge amounts of discus, which was obviously a cannonball flattened by Chen Qing's fist. And the one that fired this shell was the M1A1 main battle tank whose gun barrel was still emitting green smoke at the moment. Everyone who saw this scene, whether they were ordinary civilians or members of 10 Rings, widened their eyes. Those are the shells fired by the 3rd generation main battle tanks. That's a shell fired from a 120mm smoothbore gun. He was beaten flat with a fist. And that one didn't even have anything to do, didn't even push half a step in the air. Can they really stand against such monsters? Even Zara Hamidmi, the leader of the 10 Rings, was sweating coldly on his bald head. He didn't expect this monster to be so terrifying. Could it be that the other party is really the messenger of the legendary gods? Tony, who didn't know when he appeared nearby, was even more shocked and swears, Wardfa. Is Chen Qing already this strong? No one knows the performance of the M1A1 main battle tank better than him, a weapons dealer. Moreover, since it is a privately sold version of its unsatisfactory uncle, this M1A1 main battle tank is not a castrated version. This is definitely one of the top main battle tanks in the world. However, now the world's top main battle tank, the main cannon shell was actually punched flat by someone. He couldn't even think about such a thing. Even the Mark II he has developed now is not confident that it can withstand a frontal shot from the M1A1 main battle tank. Not to mention being like Chen Qing, who directly smashed the cannonball with one fist. However, thinking of what Chen Qing said to him before, to show his strength to the world. Tony asked Jarvis in the mecha, Jarvis, have you recorded all the pictures? It's been recording all the time, sir. Jarvis replied. Very good, in my name, send this video to all major platforms on the internet. Chen Qing wants to show himself in front of the world, so let's help him. Tony said with deep eyes. Although what Chen Qing meant was to let the high-level officials of various countries know their own strength, so that they could act as a deterrent. However, Tony believes that this matter actually needs to be known to ordinary people all over the world. At least let people all over the world know that this world is not simple. When facing a crisis in the future, you can also have a psychological preparation, so as not to directly collapse. On the other hand, he also needs to create a manageable chaos. In this controllable chaotic situation, the growth of the Scarlet Great Wall can be better accelerated, and it can become a Scarlet Great Wall that can truly protect the Earth. Okay, sir, the global recording function has been turned on. In addition, it has been detected that the military satellites of various countries have arrived in the sky. May I ask whether it is necessary to intercept the footage recorded by the other party, which may increase credibility? The voice of Jarvis resounded in the steel battle suit. Jarvis, suggestion made Tony's heart flutter slightly. If there are pictures recorded from high altitude by these military satellites, it can indeed add a lot of convincing power. However, this matter cannot be presented as Tony Stark. Cut it down, register some accounts without IP, and publish the video to the whole network as well. Tony replied. No problem, sir. Jarvis replied mildly. As for whether Jarvis can intercept these messages, Tony is not worried at all. The existence of Jarvis is artificial intelligence beyond the current era. Before the world develops an artificial intelligence capable of rivaling Jarvis. For Jarvis, the internet is like its own back garden. Including the Information Security Department of the White House in Eagle Sauce, Jarvis can easily invade and intercept what they want. Even now Tony doesn't know. The Jarvis developed by myself can even compete with Ultron for the nuclear bomb launch code in the future. And the contested object knows nothing about it. At the same time, Chen Qing, who was suddenly hit by an M1A1 main battle tank, naturally would not remain indifferent. Under the blessing of Qingfeng Jiyu, Chen Qing's whole body directly turned into a green shooting star, which ruthlessly smashed down towards the firing M1A1 main battle tank. The member of 10 Rings sitting on the tank looked at Chen Qing, who was rushing towards him in horror. At this moment, they could only powerlessly set up their machine guns, roaring and shooting at Chen Qing. However, the 3 machine guns equipped on the M1A1 main battle tank that gave them a great sense of security in the past. It made them feel so powerless at this moment. Although the machine gun bullets they fired did hit the Oriental man, who was like a god. However, a golden curtain of light like jewels rose in front of the opponent, easily blocking the bullets. The flying sparks made them deeply aware of the terrible defense that the golden light curtain possessed. Go back, go back, go back. The 10 Rings member manipulating the machine gun turret looked at Chen Qing, who was getting closer, and shouted in horror. He even tried to escape his position. But unfortunately, in order to prevent the machine gunner from being thrown off at high speed, the tank is not so easy to get out of the seat. Before the 10 Rings members jumped off their seats, Chen Qing rushed over. Chen Qing's fist wrapped in golden light Gu, with the terrifying potential energy of falling, smashed hard on the front of this M1A1 main battle tank, whose frontal reactive armor was equivalent to 800 mm homogeneous armor. Boom! Under this terrifying force, the 60-ton M1A1 main battle tank was smashed into the air immediately. I am afraid that even the designer of the M1A1 main battle tank never thought that this heavy tank would one day be hammered into the air. However, after Chen Qing hammered the M1A1 main battle tank into the air, he didn't stop. Instead, with a strong white palm, he grabbed the barrel of the gun that flew past him with his backhand, and the next moment, boom! The 60-ton big guy was instantly smashed to the ground like a sledgehammer. That huge amounts of vibration even made the whole town tremble a bit. People within a radius of 1 kilometer were even knocked to the ground directly under the shock. As for those 10 Rings members who were still in the M1A1 main battle tank. But directly under this powerful force, it turned into a pool of blood. Such a picture shocked everyone. Whether it's 10 Rings members, or those ordinary civilians, or the high-level people from various countries who watched this scene through military satellites, all stared wide-eyed in shock. Originally, the Oriental man's flight and summoning various unknown attack methods were enough. As a result, the other party still treats their proud war weapon as a toy. You know, at this node in 10 years, the M1A1 main battle tank, which is a third-generation tank, is already the most advanced tank in the world. This mysterious man from the Dragon Kingdom is already enough to arouse the fear of all countries. Add those flights fire-breathing weapons, and strange weapons that are as powerful as anti-material sniper rifles. In their eyes, the threat level of this man is no less than that of a modern group division. Check. Find out all the information about this man. For a while, high-level officials from various countries issued orders to their intelligence agencies. A person who has mastered such a magical ability is enough to make them sleepless. Especially this person seems to be from that big eastern country. Definitely, at this moment, the senior executives of Longguo looked at Chen Qing on the screen, and they were also confused. They got Chen Qing's information immediately. To them, Chen Qing is just an ordinary rich second generation, and there is nothing special about his past life trajectory. However, now this rich second generation who had no special life trajectory in the past, has a strange and powerful weapon in his hands, and smashes a heavy tank as a toy. However, seeing that the company under Chen Qing's name is being targeted by various parties at the moment, the complexions of the high-ranking members of Longguo change. These people are tired of their lives, aren't they? If it weren't for this young man named Chen Qing's quick exposure, if the other party was furious afterwards, he might have set off a bloody storm in Longguo. Moreover, it is possible to push this own family with magical powers to other countries. This is absolutely unacceptable to them. Immediately arrange someone to solve these troubles. In addition, little friend Chen Qing seems to have a good relationship with this little girl named Shen Yuexi. Let's send someone to get in touch and see if we can ask anything. The senior officials of Longguo immediately issued an order to send people to solve the troubles of the Chen Shengqing group. Compared with other countries, Long Kingdom, which has certain information, seems to be much more at ease. At least, both sides belong to the same country, and compared with other countries, they are more close. And this is one of the reasons why Chen Qing is willing to expose. It doesn't matter what kind of mentality the top executives of Longguo have come here. However, at least before the two sides tear their faces apart, Longguo will definitely become the backing of Chen's Shengqing group. In the next development, with the official escort of the Dragon Kingdom, the assets under his hands will inevitably be greatly improved. Definitely, at this moment, the attitude of the Dragon Kingdom or other countries towards Chen Qing. In fact, it's just a feeling of jealousy. More countries are still interested in Chen Qing, and want to obtain the method why Chen Qing is so powerful. As for how fearful it really is, there really isn't much. After all, it is only to show the power of a modern group division and the combat effectiveness displayed by individuals. At best, it is only a threat to some small countries. For those top powers whose number of missiles is directly above 10,000, they are not very afraid of Chen Qing. It's nothing more than launching a few more missiles. Definitely, what the countries are not afraid of now is only Chen Qing, who is showing his strength at this moment. After finishing off one M1A1 main battle tank, Chen Qing rushed towards several other M1A1 tanks. With the huge amounts of power brought by the brute force Beetle GU and the super speed brought by the Breeze GU, these 5 M1A1 tanks are almost no different from the targets. Chen Qing solved it without any effort. As for the rockets launched by the 10 Rings members, they couldn't even aim at Chen Qing. This is equivalent to a regiment of 10 Rings members, who are being slaughtered and downsized by Chen Qing quickly. In less than 5 minutes from beginning to end, these 10 Rings members have killed and injured more than 600 people and destroyed 5 tanks. This battle has been fought until now, and even the leader of 10 Rings, Zara Hamidmi, is a little bit numb. He already faintly regretted his decision to take revenge on Ethan's hometown this time. The reason why Zara Hamidmi wanted to take revenge on Ethan's hometown was actually because he was ashamed that last time Ethan, Tony and Chen Qing not only destroyed one of his camps, but also escaped unscathed went. This dealt a huge blow to 10 Rings' morale and prestige. Even in the territory ruled by 10 Rings, there have been many discordant voices. So, 10 Rings needed a massacre to reinvigorate their majesty. However, Zara Hamidmi did not expect that the man from the Dragon Country who hadn't been so exaggerated last time. Such an astonishing power will be displayed at this moment. Even if there are more than 1,000 of them, plus 5 of the world's top 3rd-generation main battle tanks, they can't help each other. Looking at the figure who is obviously not very rough, but can smash the 60-ton M1A1 main battle tank like a hammer, Zara Hamidmi felt the fear from the bottom of her heart. Some even doubted whether the other party was really a messenger from the gods. How long until the missile arrives? Raza Hamidmi shouted while holding the walkie-talkie in his hand. This Jericho surface-to-surface cluster missile originated from the Start group is already his only hope and trump card. This is a super killer that can hit targets as far as 15,000 kilometers away with an error of less than 5 meters and a maximum killing range of more than 500 meters. It is the reason why he dares to imagine ruling the world. The voices of members of the 10 Rings missile launch base immediately came from the other end. Boss, they have been launched, a total of 12 missiles, and they are expected to arrive in 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Raza Hamidmi cast his eyes on Chen Qing, who was madly slaughtering his subordinates, with haze in his eyes, and gritted his teeth at the same time, growling, "Your death will be in 5 seconds." He didn't think that this weird dragon countryman could survive the damage of a full 12 Jericho cluster missiles. At the same time, Tony, who was wearing the Mark II in the sky, also detected 12 Jericho cluster missiles approaching rapidly in the distance, and he was shocked in his heart. No one knows the lethality of the Jericho cluster missile better than its maker. It can be said that this is the current world, apart from the nuclear bomb, the most terrifying lethal weapon. Each Jericho cluster missile can fire 50 small missile heads. These small missile heads also have the function of accurately finding the enemy, and each one is powerful enough to blow up a building into the sky. And once it is used on people, it means that Chen Qing will now face the threat of 600 small missiles that can blow up a building into the sky. Even if only one of them is missed by mistake, it will be fatal. Tony immediately flew towards Chen Qing, and at the same time turned on the horn function of the Mark II and shouted, "Chen Qing, there are 12 Jericho cluster missiles flying towards you, hurry up." At this moment, Chen Qing, who was wielding a light whip and taking advantage of his speed, was startled when he heard Tony's words. Chen Qing is no stranger to the Jericho cluster missile. Whether it was in the movies of the previous life or in the Stark group, they have seen the performance of the Jericho cluster missile with their own eyes. It made him fearful of this weapon. This is definitely the strongest black technology produced by Tony before he became Iron Man, bar none. That is a super killer that can change the situation on the battlefield. Even before Chen Qing tried it himself, he was not absolutely sure that he would be able to catch 12 Jericho cluster missiles developed by Tony. Sure enough, the movies are all lies. Tony didn't get hit by a missile at that time. Chen Qing gritted his teeth and complained in his heart. If I really believe in the plot in the movie, I'm afraid I really don't know how I died. However, in order to deal with the current situation, Chen Qing made a plan in advance. Therefore, although he was a little nervous at the moment, he was not panicked at all. Instead, he released the Moonlight GU between his eyebrows. Compared with the first-rank Moonlight GU of the slap file size, the second-rank Moonlight GU is 3 times larger in size, and the highest point of the upper and lower ends is more than 1 meter long. From the appearance point of view, it looks like a moon blade with a moon-white color, very beautiful. However, compared to the first-rank Moonlight GU, the second-rank Moonlight GU not only improves the body size. Moon Mang GU. Level. Rank 2 GU Worm. Ability. After activation, it can transform into a 120 cm medium-sized moonblade to attack the locked target. Currently, it can attack at a distance of up to 300 meters from the host. It can cut through 300 mm homogeneous armor with full strength, and its maximum flight speed is Mach 30. You can precisely cut off the target with just one thought. Advanced Rank 3 GU Worm Requirements. Moonflower Grass X10, Bright Moonstone X10, 10-year Poisonous Bug X15. Feeding Requirements. You need to eat Uyuehua petals by 2 per day. This is why Chen Qing has the confidence to face missiles. The second turn Moon Mang GU with a flight speed of Mach 30 is enough to kill all missiles on the Earth. The only fly in the ointment is its attack distance. After doing this, Chen Qing stared straight ahead. In this direction, there was an extremely astonishing sense of threat, and something was rapidly approaching him. If nothing else, it should be the Jericho cluster missile produced by the Stark group. The extreme sense of danger was much more stimulating than being bombarded by the M1A1 main battle tank before. Chen Qing, what can I do? Tony quickly came to Chen Qing's side and asked anxiously. He was a little annoyed why he developed such a terrible weapon. That's a whole 600 small self-aiming missiles. Just thinking about it makes one's scalp tingle. Even a heavy tank, under such intensive attacks, would directly turn into a pool of molten iron. Just look at it, Chen Qing said calmly. While speaking, Chen Qing activated the hidden hiding GU directly. Along with a surge of black mist, the figures of Chen Qing and Tony disappeared in the black mist. At the same time, the figures of Chen Qing and Tony disappeared directly from the radar. This scene made the 10 Rings members in the distant 10 Rings missile launch base dumbfounded. How is it possible? That person is missing from the radar. Great Allah, could it be that he is really an angel? Then aren't we acting against God? For a moment, the members of 10 Rings began to panic. However, the missile has been launched, and they can only pray that the missile can play a role at this moment. However, without the radar lock, how many of the 600 small missiles split by the 12 Jericho cluster missiles can hit is an unknown. The panic among 10 Rings members is another story. The most shocking thing at this moment is actually the military base stationed in Afghanistan by the Eagle Sauce Kingdom. Seeing Chen Qing, who disappeared directly on the world's most advanced radar, the commander of this military base directly widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Wardfa! What is this black mist? Could it be advanced shielding?" But immediately, his breathing became heavy, and his eyes were full of heat. What does such advanced shielding technology mean? This means that the stealth technology of their Yingjiang country will be greatly improved. At that time, their fighters can easily lock on to the enemy's aircraft and shoot them down. Even if the opponent is equipped with advanced missiles, that can only give rise to all the advantages and choose dogfighting helplessly. However, modern fighters are so dogfighting. That's already started to strike beyond visual range, okay. Therefore, this technology must be in the hands of their Eagle Sauce country. Immediately sound the first level battle alarm, mobilize our troops throughout Afghanistan, and prepare to intercept this mysterious existence. This technology belongs to the Eagle Sauce country. The base commander gave the order without hesitation. As a general of the Eagle Sauce army and the commander-in-chief of the entire Afghanistan, he is qualified to issue such an order. Woo, woo, woo. Sirens immediately resounded over the various military bases in Afghanistan. At the same time, a large number of Yingjiang soldiers quickly began to gather. But Chen Qing didn't know all of this. Definitely, even if Chen Qing knew about it, he wouldn't have cared about it in the slightest. This was originally a battle for him to show his muscles to the world in the future. It would be a good thing for him if the army of the Yingjiang country participated in the war. Because, the more supporting roles there are on this stage, and the higher the level of the supporting roles, the better the effect of the stage will be this time. After using hidden GU to block the lock-on of 12 Jericho cluster missiles, instead of running away, Chen Qing chose to take the initiative to meet him. Below is Ethan's hometown. Even if only a small missile falls, it will cause great damage. Chen Qing didn't want his chief scientist to be distracted by such a trivial matter. You know, Ethan has successfully developed a series of things such as the smartphone and smart home appliances he wanted in just 2 months. Once these things are fully fermented and occupy the entire market, it will be a market with huge amounts of trillions. How could he let Ethan waste his time on this kind of thing? While Chen Qing was acting, Moon Mangjiu followed closely behind him. Chen Qing, who was dressed in a moon-white robe against the background, was like the moon god descending from the earth. On the opposite side of Chen Qing, there are 12 huge missiles with long tail flames. This is one of the biggest killers other than nuclear bombs in human history. Black technology developed by Tony Stark himself, Jericho cluster missile. Both sides maintained extremely high speeds, and almost in an instant, they touched a piece. The moment the 12 Jericho cluster missiles entered the attack range of 300 meters, the Moon Mangjiu behind Chen Qing moved. Under the blessing of a terrifying speed of Mach 30, the Moonlight GU immediately turned into a phantom, dragged a trail of the waning moon in the sky, and slashed towards the 12 Jericho cluster missiles. Clang, 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 accompanied by a burst of sparks flying. Among them, there were 9 Jericho cluster missiles, and before they even had time to bloom, they were cut in half by the Moonlight GU, which was enough to cut through 300 millimeters of homogeneous class armor. Those small missiles exploded in the sky directly. However, due to the distance, there was a full 300 meters distance between Chen Qing and Chen Qing. The aftermath of the explosion of the 9 Jericho cluster missiles did not even shake the golden light GU around Chen's body. However, there were still 3 Jericho cluster missiles that did not have time to kill, making the opponent blossom. A total of 150 small missiles, which are enough to send a building into the sky, began to scurry around because they failed to lock the target. Chen Qing frowned suddenly. Tony, what a broken weapon he developed. With such great power, it can still bloom at the same time, directly making the interception difficulty greatly increased. After a while, he must be beaten to vent his anger. However, right now we still have to get rid of these split missiles first. Chen Qing doesn't want his good employees to find him. Chen Qing raised his sword fingers in front of him with his right hand, and at the same time, the true energy in his body began to rush into the Moon Mang Gu. In an instant, the silver-white light directly bloomed on the Moon Mang Gu. Under the urging of a large amount of true qi, the Moon Mang Gu was directly energized to the extreme. Rub rub rub. In an instant, a large silver-white net appeared directly in front of Chen Qing, easily intercepting all the small missiles flying out in all directions. Of the 150 small missiles, none escaped the light of the moonlight Gu. This scene made everyone who saw it feel very happy. Be horrified at the terrifying speed displayed by that half-person high crescent moon. At that moment, no one knew how many times it had been cut off. However, those 150 small missiles were all reduced to fragments the size of fingernails, and they didn't even have the ability to explode. This also means that Chen Qing has the ability to stop more missiles. Thinking of such a thing, even Tony, who was in the same camp as Chen Qing, felt his scalp tingle for a while. This kind of strength is even so strong that it makes people feel a little desperate. Is this really something human can do? God, this scene. JARVIS, is it all recorded? Tony murmured. It's all on tape, sir. JARVIS replied. Such a shocking picture, Tony will probably never forget it in his life. The sky-filled sword light fell down, and he only felt a chill on his body. If he was the target of those sword strikes, even if he was wearing Mark II, it would probably be of no avail. However, Tony did not doubt that he was on the right path. It's nothing more than a matter of improving the armor in the future. He still has a lot of ideas waiting to be realized one by one. And Tony, who was in the same camp as Chen Qing, was so shocked and chilled. Let alone those high-level officials from various countries who were completely unknown to Chen Qing. If such a monster appeared in their borders, I am afraid that no country in this world can sit still. After all, the opponent can summon countless units with powerful combat abilities by raising their hand, which is enough to easily cause huge amounts of damage to the city. In addition, the opponent's own goals are not big, and they have mastered shielding techniques that they can't understand at all. Once the other party mixes into his own country, it will definitely make people sleepless. Definitely, as far as the 5 overlords are concerned, they are actually like that. At least judging from the current strength displayed by this Oriental man, the army still has a way to deal with it. After all, whether it is the strange fire-breathing weapon or the arrow-like thing, they can be directly destroyed with powerful firepower. At least so far, the top leaders of various countries have seen that many strange weapons have been knocked out. It's just that the top leaders of various countries are a little confused. These special weapons that were shot down look a bit like some kind of bugs. However, no matter what the top leaders of various countries think. At this moment, Chen Qing was like a devil in the eyes of the 10 Rings members below. Even the Jericho cluster missiles they had placed high hopes on have lost their effect. Is their struggle really useful? Moreover, they could clearly see the terrifying knife light from below. The large net of dense silver-white knife light even made them feel that during the day, a round of moon suddenly hung above their heads. Quickly, capture all those civilians. Whether we can survive depends on these civilians. Zara Hamidmi, who was also panicked in his heart, shouted loudly at his subordinates. Others may still have a chance of survival. However, as the leader of the 10 Rings, Zara Hamidmi knew that it was absolutely impossible for him to survive. Now, his only chance to survive is to bet that the other party cares about these civilians. After all, the opponent could stand still and block those missiles before, but he still took the initiative to meet them. Leaving aside the weird possibility that the opponent can't wait to chop up the Jericho cluster missile. It is very likely that the other party came here to protect civilians. Don't forget, the civilians below are except those who were initially killed by him and his men. So far, that powerful existence hasn't killed a single civilian, and there hasn't even been a case of manslaughter. Soon, less than 200 members of 10 Rings participated in the end, quickly arrested the surviving civilians, and formed a human wall to block their surroundings. At the same time, Zara Hamidmi also yelled at Chen Qing, "Stop, you fool, or I will kill all these civilians, and they will all die because of you." Raza Hamidmi was kidnapped without moral hesitation. He didn't know if the monster-like Oriental man would stop because of this. However, he knew that this was his only chance to survive. Chen Qing, who was suddenly shouted at, paused. He cast his eyes on the big bald man in the crowd, and then let out a disdainful smile. "Listen, dead man is talking." After finishing speaking, Chen Qing snapped his fingers lightly. Snapped. In an instant, all the members of 10 Rings collapsed into a mass of soft flesh as if they had lost their bones. From the perspective of the second dimension, the members of these 10 Rings seemed to have become a group of fleshy slimes with only flesh and blood. And the fact is indeed the case, the bones of these 10 Rings members have already been devoured by bone erosion GU. The reason why he didn't die was only because Chen Qing didn't give the order. What's even more frightening is that the members of the 10 Rings are not actually dead at this moment, they are still alive. It's just that, because they lost the support of their whole body's bones, these 10 Rings members couldn't even take a simple breath, and could only wait quietly for death in the pain of suffocation. However, Chen Qing didn't feel that his actions were cruel. This group of demons in human skin deserved to end up like this. And this crisis in Ethan's hometown is completely over here. More than 1,000 people have been lost, including the leader of 10 Rings, who seems to be out of luck. Even if the future is not in the struggle for power, it will completely consume the last bit of strength. It will also be annexed by some surrounding armed forces because of its too weak strength. However, Chen Qing's side is relaxed. Those high-level people from various countries who looked at the picture here fell into deep shock and panic. Because the scene in front of me was really too weird. The more than 200 members of 10 Rings turned into a puddle of meat without any injuries on the outside just because of a snap of their fingers. Moreover, he didn't die in the first place. Who wouldn't be shocked to see this? The unknown and the weird are often the biggest source of fear in people's hearts. At this moment, Chen Qing undoubtedly took these 2 points into account. It can be said that there is no country whose top leaders are not afraid. If there is no absolute certainty, who dares to provoke this monster? Once this monster is really offended, then he failed to destroy the monster in the first place, but let the other party run away. Then, in the future, wait to face the revenge of an extremely weird monster. However, the top leaders of various countries are afraid to say otherwise. At this moment, there is someone who is definitely not afraid. That is the commander-in-chief of the Eagle Sauce Kingdom, Afghanistan, who issued the arrest order. An advanced invisible shielding technology is enough to make him take risks. Definitely, the most important reason is actually because he doesn't think Chen Qing can compete with his fighter group. You know, there are 32 F-22 fighter jets parked in the Yingjiang country military base in Afghanistan. That is the top 5th-generation fighter in the world today. While having a powerful stealth effect, it also has a powerful power of Mach 2.25. Moreover, it can load up to 2.27 tons of ammunition and hang 6 air-to-air missiles. Even in terms of long-range strikes, it suffered a disadvantage in front of the opponent's stealth means, and could not use missiles to lock the opponent. However, even if the 32 F-22 fighter jets are swept with the Vulcan cannon, they can still smash the opponent into a sieve. Therefore, at this moment, 32 F-22 fighter jets are hanging ammunition and are ready to attack. However, Chen Qing knew nothing about this. After finishing off these 10 Rings members, Chen Qing landed on the ground, took out his mobile phone from his pocket and dialed Ethan's number. Ethan on the other end quickly connected the phone. "Boss, how's the situation?" Ethan asked eagerly. "Sorry, I came a little late. The other party has already killed some people, but I have killed all the people who appeared in your hometown in 10 Rings. In addition, I will take action to completely destroy the power of 10 Rings in a while, which can be regarded as revenge for the people in your hometown." Chen Qing replied. Ethan paused, then choked up and said, thank you, boss. If it wasn't for you, I really don't know what to do." He is just an ordinary physicist, perhaps has some reputation in the scientific research circle. However, these reputations mean nothing to those ruthless terrorists. No country would be willing to send troops for him, or put pressure on the Ten Rings to save his homeland. Only his boss, after knowing the news, rushed thousands of miles from the Eagle Sauce country to kill Afghanistan and killed all those terrorists. Why are you crying? Just work hard for me. Chen Qing joked with a smile, and then he asked, do you have any relatives here? I can help you see if they survive. However, Chen Qing feels that this hope may be quite small. Ten Rings originally came here to take revenge on Ethan, and they will definitely seek revenge on Ethan's relatives as soon as possible. If it was really what he thought, there might not be any of Ethan's relatives left. And Ethan obviously thought of this too. He said with a wry smile, it would be best for the boss to ask for me. If you really can't find it, then forget it. I don't have many relatives there. If it wasn't for this reason, Ethan would not have been determined to live and die at the beginning. Well, I see. Chen Qing nodded and hung up the phone. Then, he turned his gaze to Tony, who was on the side, and said, Tony, do you understand the language here? Help me ask if Ethan's relatives are still there. Ethan's relatives. I'm afraid we have to prepare for the worst. Tony opened the lid of his helmet, frowned and said in a low voice. He didn't think that Ethan's relatives could survive in this situation. Speaking of which, Ethan's hometown was also hit by an indiscriminate disaster. These people from Ten Rings clearly came here to avenge the three of them, but his and Chen Qing's hometowns were the Dragon Kingdom and the Eagle Sauce Kingdom, two of the world's top 3 superpowers. There's no way Ten Rings can get in, let alone retaliate. And Ethan, whose hometown is in Afghanistan, undoubtedly became the only target that Ten Rings could easily take revenge on. Do your best to obey the destiny, no matter what. Let's ask first. Chen Qing shook his head and said. Tony shrugged and didn't say anything more. Instead, he walked towards the civilians who were still kneeling on the ground, kowtowing to Chen Qing and praying. Through the simultaneous translation of JARVIS, Tony asked the civilians in front of him, do you know if Ethan's relatives are still alive? The civilians who were questioned all looked at each other. However, they had a conversation with Chen Qing before seeing Tony, so they felt that Tony should be a good person. Therefore, one of the oldest elders asked cautiously, is this Dr. Ethan who is a scientist? Tony nodded immediately. That's right, it's that Ethan. Then, he pointed to Chen Qing behind him with his thumb and said, that is his boss. When he knew you were threatened by 10 Rings, his boss rushed over without stopping. Hiss, that envoy is actually Ethan's boss. And it was because of Ethan that the God envoy came here. Thinking of this, some civilians who were originally full of resentment towards Ethan suddenly felt less resentment. After all, if it wasn't for Ethan's relationship, they would probably be dead at this moment. Definitely, there are still some civilians who hate Ethan in their hearts. If it weren't for Ethan, the 10 Rings might not have chosen to do this to them, leading to the death of their family members. And the emotions in the eyes of these civilians were also imprinted in the eyes of Chen Qing, who was standing behind. If there are any survivors of Ethan's relatives, they must be picked up. Chen Qing sighed in his heart. In this environment of resentment, Ethan's relatives will definitely be affected, and their lives may be lost here. But it's not a big problem. It's nothing more than asking Ethan to raise a few more people. With the salary he paid Ethan, it was not a problem to support a few people. In the end, after searching by these civilians, Ethan's last relatives were also found out. After the brutal massacre by members of the 10 Rings, Ethan's relatives are only a 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl who were hidden in the cellar. There were only 2 children left, which made Chen Qing feel a little complicated. The helpless, confused and fearful eyes of the 2 children made him feel a little dazzling. Perhaps because he was an orphan, Chen Qing didn't like to see such a scene happen. If it weren't for brutal terrorists like 10 Rings, if it weren't for the war, there wouldn't be so many life and death in this world. It seems that there is one more reason why I need to become stronger as soon as possible. Only with the absolute power to crush the world can he have the ability to rewrite the rules of this world. Just as Chen Qing was about to say something, he felt a sudden palpitation in his heart, as if some threat was approaching rapidly. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.